It's 6 p.m. I'll call this January 23rd, 2024 regular meeting of the Wenatchee School District School Board to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Esta junta se lleva a cabo en inglés, pero contamos con servicio de traducción. Si alguien gusta hacer un comentario público o recibir explicaciones en español, por favor indique su necesidad. We will now work through the consent agenda, or work through the agenda. Are there any proposed changes or modifications to the agenda?
Yes, I would like to request an agenda change to allow the special presentations that are slated under section 5 to be pushed to the February 13th board meeting. And this will allow us to focus our attention on the staff and the community here.
Motion to approve the agenda change?
I move to approve that agenda change.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
We will now work on the consent agenda. The consent agenda was sent to the board and posted online last week. The board has had the opportunity to review the materials and individually ask the superintendent any questions on any item on the agenda. The consent agenda includes the minutes from the January 9th, 2023 2024 regular board meeting, vouchers and payroll, personnel reports, surplus reports, contracts, field trips, and the January 2024 enrollment report. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I approve the agenda.
I second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're reorganizing a little bit and we will now have the budget update presented by the superintendent.
Excellent, thank you. And we should have a slideshow presentation up here on the screen. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for your attendance tonight. We have a large group with us this evening to share their voice and their concern. And we'll start off the presentation tonight. I'm going to share some information with the board and our community. This is the time of the year when we share our overall projections and our plans for reductions for the 24-25 school year. We are on a little bit of an accelerated time frame, as you'll see from the presentation today, that the numbers are very high and the reduction plan is impactful, to say the very least. So the way that we want to look at, thank you. So the way that we want to look at the budget presentation is really in two pieces. The first part here that you see is the factor one, and this involves the standalone factor in time that happened in June of 2022, and we're looking at that as the budget error of 2022. When we completed many hires for the next year and we were solidifying the budget. This was also a time that many of you who were in our system will remember that Superintendent Gordon was leaving our system and Superintendent Eagle was coming into our system. We realized that there was an accounting error that resulted in a $9 million budgeting error. We have worked hard to address that budgeting error this year, and we will have to address the rest of those needs in coming years. The second factor is our annual ongoing impacts to our budget, which I'll explain on the next slide. So many of you have seen these factors many times. These are annual factors that separate our revenues and our expenditures. And these are factors that we have shared with the staff. But I do not believe that there was always a clear understanding that these issues impact us each and every year and continue to impact our system as long as our enrollment continues to decline. So we truly have a compounding issue here. And so when we go through each of these pieces, we see here that our revenue is on a declining trend. We know that. We'll show a graph that will illustrate that a little bit later. We also know that our regionalization dollars are decreasing, and this is part of the state salary funding formula that helps level the playing field between property-rich and property-poor school districts. We also know that we still have federal ESSER dollars in our system that will end this year to the tune of $2.8 million. In addition to our revenue factors, which are decreasing, we know that we have sorry, I am moving away from the microphone. We know that we have the LEA state funding, which we receive in lieu of a high local levy. This funding is based off enrollment and property values, and we have received less funding due to a decrease in enrollment, an increase in property values. And then the other side of the equation are our expenditures. And we know that we have the expenditures are going up. And this was exacerbated by increasing staffing levels during the 21-22 school year through the 22-23 school year. Other factors that increase our expenditures are the increase in staffing costs that are aligned to our salaries and our benefits as well through things like insurance and the implicit price deflator and other factors as well. And we also know that inflation, just overall costs of doing business, that MSOC is the materials, supplies, and operating costs through the district, have also impacted our expenditures. And this is a slide that many of you have seen in the past as well. And this really outlines our enrollment history and our projections. And as you can see from the slide, we have seen a decrease in our student population, 900 students in the last 8 years, and 185 students this year alone. The chart is expected to continue. You can see that, I don't know if my clicker works here, but you can see our 2023-24 school year number is 6,739. That's our actual number. And we had budgeted originally for 6,800 students, and we came in a little shy of that. But that's you can see the difference between 22 and 23 and 23 and 24, that we had that 185 student difference. And so the number in red for 24 and 25 is a projection of what next year's enrollment might look like. One of the things that we know in our valley and in our community is there are a lot of options for our families to have their students get their education, and they're not all choosing public education, as we know. We also know that there are some increases to options next year in a variety of ways. We know our charter school will be adding another grade level. We also know that St. Joe's will be adding a middle school section, and we might have some other private schools that pop up as well. So here's another slide that you can see with our enrollment trends together with our staffing trends. And this, I really can't stress enough, the alignment of our staffing to enrollment is very critical in the work that we're doing. Even if we didn't have budget concerns from 2022, we would need to dramatically change how we do business to match enrollment. And we know our students and families, as I mentioned previously, they have more options than ever before for their children to attend school other than public school. And then the box over there really shows the staffing for 22-23. We have that specifically pointed out because our plan for 22-23 before the budgeting error was realized was to have 942 staff members that school year. So upon discovery of that $9 million error, we had to take immediate action to reduce staffing. We were able to reduce that staffing amount from 942 to the 907 that you see there. The other years are still in red because we have not completed those school years. And so we'll see what our staffing ends up toward the end of the year. And I think this is just a slide to talk about the challenges. The magnitude of our budget challenges are large and will require big changes to our system. And that's the importance of getting this information out. And this work, obviously, education is a business of people, and this impacts people, our staff, our students, and our community in big ways. And it just leads to the challenges of the work that is required for budgets. Projections are challenging. Our annual budget impedes our ability to recover, and we need to make sure that we're getting ahead of that as a district, whether that's inflation, whether that is working to align our resources to recover from declining enrollment, or whether it's this year's problem is decreasing some of the COVID funds that we have in our system still. The other part is the enrollment decline is starting in our K-5 world, and it will eventually move into our our middle school world and then our high school world as well. So it's hard to equitably adjust to that. But what we need to do as a system is we need to align our staffing to our enrollment so that we can be nimble and make those changes when the students move up through our system and get to the next grade levels. This is a slide that came from our How to Understand School District Budgets video. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. So this is a slide that came from our How to Understand School Budgets video as well, but it's very important here at this piece. And so it really outlines that the district has 5 distinct self-balancing fund accounts. And it helps us understand which account we're focusing on in the work of reducing our budget. And so you can see here we have a general fund, and that's our operating budget. That's what most people think of when we think of the district's budget. And that operating budget, which guides our day-to-day operations. The capital fund project covers our long-term school construction and repair needs and cannot be spent on school operations. And this is an interesting place to stop for a second because some of the questions that have come up around properties that the district has, why aren't we selling some properties so that we can help maintain some of our staffing? And with the sale of those properties, the dollars go into that capital projects fund, which cannot be used for operating day-to-day operations. So that is not a fix for us as a school district. Also, selling property is that one-time fix and doesn't fix the problem of matching our enrollment to our staffing, or our staffing to enrollment. Sorry, said that backwards. And then we have the debt service fund, which is that fund that manages the principal and interest of our bonds issued to finance school construction and renovation. Then we have the transportation vehicle fund, which is used to buy school buses. And so next year we are slated to buy a new school bus because it comes out of this fund and not our general fund, which is where we are having some budget reductions and alignments. And then finally, we have our associated student body, or our ASB fund, which helps students with extracurricular activities and a variety of other items. So this is the general fund in itself. We call this the people fund. And this is the fund that is used for our staffing in a variety of areas. And we know that our staffing equates to 80 to 85% of the general fund. And that's why I refer to that as the people fund. And that is where we are trying to make those alignments happen. So this is the slide that really illustrates where we are with our budget and where we are with the in the reduction process. And I also want to just say that we've said this many times, we're early in the budget season, and this is us being transparent with those numbers because of the magnitude of the work that's in front of us. And so we'll take a look at that. We know that the preliminary budget reduction target range is between 8 and 9 million for the 24-25 school year. Whoops. And this helps us kind of understand the differences there. So I'll kind of walk you through what we have here. We have our difference, our range between our revenues and expenditures. So we have our revenues coming in at 120 million for the 24-25 school year. and estimated expenditures at 133 million, which shows us a variance of $13 million, as we know that that is a number that is would be very hard to attain in 1 year. We also have some mitigating factors that take that number down to a more reasonable target range, although I would say $8.6 million is not necessarily reasonable or attainable without big things. And so one of the factors there is that when we create a budget, the budget is created for 100% staffing. And we usually don't run at 100% staffing throughout our school year, whether that's attrition or retirements, resignations, or whatever might happen along that school year. So we've taken 1.5 million out for that. And then we have the dollars that the school board set aside for us as a district to use to offset budget reductions. That comes in at the number of $2.9 million. The idea is that we would use those funds next year to offset the magnitude of these budget reductions. And that gets us down to our target range of 8.6 billion.
Corey, can I have a quick question?
Sure.
That's estimated revenues are with our current student count, or is that with the projected count?
Projected, yeah.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
question. Thank you. And so the next part of the slide really accounts for that variance breakdown, what all is wrapped up into those. And so you can see that we have this year, or actually, sorry, next year's projected enrollment decline, state local effort assistance, our state regionalization dollars, inflation with staffing and benefits, and then our ESSER CARES dollars that are still in our system that are 100% related to staffing. And then the number 6 factor is that school board carryover funding that will allow us to offset the $13 million there. So next, what is the plan? What is the plan for the system-wide budget reductions? And we're looking at this slide as change at each level will generate significant amounts of savings and begin to align enrollment with staffing or staffing with enrollment. And looking at this, these 3 buckets, we are looking at least a 5 million savings annually. And one of the things that I want to stress here is the idea that these savings are annual and they are helping us become more nimble as a system to be adjusted for our staffing to equate to our enrollment. So as I mentioned, when our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders make their way into the middle school at 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, our middle schools are going to look dramatically different as a population and as a system. Also, when those 2nd and 3rd graders make it to 9, 10, and 11, our high school will look dramatically different with regard to its population. And so these pieces will help us be ready for those adjustments when they come. So let's see here. Additional budget reductions and adjustments as we have here, as long as enrollment continues to decline, we will need to continue to do the following. And over the next 2 years, we have this slated as well, but continue to adjust our staffing model, as I say over and over again, align our enrollment to our staffing to enrollment. Evaluate, and when we look at the staffing model, that's mostly teachers or staff in our building. And we also need to look at our additional staffing reductions district-wide as well. We'll need to look at restructuring departments for productivity and efficiency. We could potentially be looking at reducing some programs as well along with this work. Programs meaning like athletics in those areas. And then district level materials, which are materials, supplies, and operating costs as well, looking at everything throughout our system over the next 2 years in this multi-year budget reduction process. So taking each factor here, the high school schedule, As our declining enrollment makes its way into high school, as I mentioned, we'll need to have a system that is responsive to that enrollment decline. This will set us up to be able to be responsive in the future. So by moving to a 6-period schedule, the district can save at least $800,000 annually. And through that process, we would revert back to a 6-period day instead of the 4x4 block. We're currently working with high school leadership on making that shift. And then converting to a 6-period schedule will allow the district to make those necessary staffing reductions. And the idea here is that enrollment decline will be hitting the high school every year moving forward. And so next year, the population of the high school will be less. The year after, it will be less and less and less. And so we'll be able to be responsive to that. The idea on middle schools here, with a common middle school schedule, the district will be able to save at least $1.5 million annually. And this process has been over the last several months. Wenatchee School District, we've worked closely with the middle schools to develop a common schedule. That new schedule will allow for some necessary staffing reductions and flexibility in the future. And the latest budget information that we have gotten increases our need to maximize staffing at all levels. And there'll be more information on the proposed schedules that we'll be sharing in the coming days. Just as information, that new middle school schedule, though, will not change the start or end times of school, which is good. And then the elementary consolidation, why the elementary consolidation is necessary here. Through this consolidation, the district can save at least $3 million annually. Although the decision is hard and one that the district has worked to avoid for significant, to explore other avenues for significant reductions. We do know that enrollment is down, and projections indicate that declining enrollment will only get worse, unfortunately. Working to keep 7 under-resourced schools open spreads our resources very thin. And it is not economically responsible to keep quarter-empty buildings in use. If 43 empty classrooms in our system throughout the TK5 world. Consolidating from 7 to 6 buildings would increase our efficient use of categorical support, special education, transportation, teaching staff, nutrition services, and M&O. Ensuring that our most vulnerable and high-need students can continue to receive services. Consolidation also allows for a stronger financial stability for our schools and our students in the future. We'll also be able to allow for some materials, supplies, and operating cost savings. And consolidation puts our teaching staff more in line with enrollment now and in the future. Some of the considerations throughout this process, this is who we serve. These are our students. Through our elementary program, we have students that are high poverty. Almost 68% of our elementary students are in poverty. The highest rate is at Mission View at this point. We know that Hispanic Latino students, 56% of our elementary students are Hispanic and Latino. The highest number of concentration there is at Lincoln Elementary. And our English language learners, we have 31.5% there. And our migrant learners are at 13%. So consolidation would allow us to continue to serve the unique learning and social emotional needs of our students in our 6 schools. Wenatchee School District does have what we consider a guaranteed and viable curriculum in all elementary schools to support transitions from one school to the next. This is just a table a table breakdown of our elementary schools. I'll have you just kind of take a look at the different columns here. You can see that first column illustrates our students that come from a low-income background, whereas the second column there has our Hispanic Latino. Then the other column there has our current head counts in each of our buildings, classroom teachers, number of classroom spaces in the school, and then average student classroom per teacher. Oh yeah, sorry. Average students per classroom teacher. You're not able to see that. So why Columbia was selected for consolidation? We have a lot of Columbia staff members here today that are ready to share their concerns and their voice. Columbia, we obviously know, is a very caring school community. They know their staff, they know their learners, and they have moved the needle academically for their students. The selection of Columbia is not a reflection on the school nor its successes. These are some of the factors here. There's been a large decline in student enrollment. We have a list there that goes back with our graph from 15-16 and then more recent decline. Currently, there are 9 classrooms not being used for grade level courses. A lack of projected growth in the boundary, low birth rates, which kind of plague our entire area, and then a central location of a neighborhood served that allows transportation of students to other locations. There's the small overall school enrollment allows for absorption in nearby schools and open classrooms and spaces that are existing currently. And Columbia is the second smallest school by 11 students, about a 314 head count. Here is just a geographical representation for those of us that need a little visual of the Columbia boundary there in conjunction with the other boundaries for the other schools as well. So then what's next? Which there's a lot that is next. Obviously, we need to begin communication, informing parents about the consolidation and what will happen, and that will happen the next week. Working to build an FAQ for our stakeholders and our community on how this process will work. February 13th, our next board meeting will begin the required 90-day period for the RCW. And then a public hearing will be held during the 90-day period, and the board will be expected to take action after the 90-day period at their regular board meeting, May 14th, 2024. So those are the next steps for our board. As always, you can view our detailed information regarding the budget via our website, or you can use the QR code on the screen. And I know that's a lot of information and a lot of sitting. Everyone has done a fantastic job. I appreciate that. And I know our board members will have some comments and maybe some questions that I can bring back to them in a future meeting as well. So I will turn it back over to Julie.
Thank you. Before I ask for additional questions, I just want to make sure the community is clear. This is the first meeting that the board has had to actually, as a full board, discuss or address any of these budget challenges. So this is not necessarily the preferred or desired way we would have liked to be presenting this at the first go round, but these are the circumstances we're under, and we are committed to working together to figure these challenges out. But I want to make it clear that the board has not previously discussed these or not taken any action on these, not to create any sense of false hope, but so you know that we are coming up to speed on this as well. So with that being said, I have any questions for Dr. Kelleher from the board?
Maybe what I want to say is I want to thank Dr. Kelleher giving for what, for me, was multiple reasons for addressing the situation and looking at a fair and reasonable way to try and resolve it. I think it's also important to note, as President Julie said, I'll get closer, sorry, that this is the beginning of a process with, I'll get even closer. All right. What I just want to say is the school is a living being, and we know that, and I really appreciate everybody being here. But at the same time, the district works within money that it's granted by state and federal government and local taxpayers, and has to achieve the maximum that they can for all students and the education within the district as a whole. I think this is, the intent is always to do the best job we possibly can. I don't want to prejudge anything. For me, this was a very much a comprehensive overview. I would like to absorb it, go through the next stages as has been stated, and prepare for the following stages of this debate. But I'm glad that we had this level of briefing. Thank you.
Out of the 43 empty classrooms, TK through 5, are they spread out? I mean, because I'm thinking Sunny Slope has a smaller building. Are we seeing empty classrooms across all 7 schools?
Sunny Slope may be the school that we don't have very many empty classrooms, but we do have empty classrooms in the rest of our buildings, and to different varying levels.
And are those classrooms part of the portables, or does it exclude portables?
It can vary. Some might be in the portables, but a lot of them are in the regular building as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it varies. Thank you.
That was a little bit eye-opening to me. I had never seen that number.
Well, and to be fair, the classrooms are not just empty and vacant. There are intervention classes taking place. There might be some social and emotional regulation taking in classrooms, and there might be some case managers that are taking those spaces too. So,
But originally they were created to be instructional classrooms environments.
correct.
Yeah.
Has the analysis been done about whether redistricting all schools is a viable option versus consolidating one to just operate the 6?
Yeah, we are currently working with Davis Demographics right now, as you saw the contract a couple weeks ago, that they're doing some of the boundary work for us and looking at the boundary line adjustments.
When do we anticipate getting that data?
Late February or early March.
There are 2 parts to this. There's one is making a plan, which we have had an outline of today. The second part of it is implementing whatever plan is finally approved. And this is a short time frame. Questions like when we get the Davis study in time to look at the districts, taking care of reassignments of family needs for transportation, taking care of making sure that programs in all the schools are maintained, making sure that we maximize the projected benefits from the actions to make the district have a more efficient structure. This is equally as important as specifically deciding what a consolidation plan is. And I only want to stress that that it is our duty to encourage and support all actions to make that implementation part of it vitally successful, because that is the heart of what will ultimately make any benefits that are projected happen for real.
Thank you, Martin.
And as we move forward, because it's not just elementaries that will be impacted, but we're also talking middle school and high school. I'm requesting that we have full transparency as to every step for the board, for our parents, for our staff, our constituents. I think that's going to be key in every single step and whatever direction the district, the board will present. Regarding the high school and the middle school schedules, we heard a timeline for the elementary. Is there a timeline for those two schedules?
Yeah, though, their new schedules will be implemented at the beginning of the 24-25 school year.
Is that something that requires a vote by the board?
No.
Okay. But we will get a presentation of what that's gonna look like moving forward, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to stress that the schedule in the middle school has been well briefed. The changes at the high school, that is a new piece of information. And I initially was going to ask, which year are you planning for it, until you said 24-25. So this gets on to implementation. We have a short timetable. I think we need to be agile on that, and at the same time being open. I think one of the things is opening up early before you've quite got everything in place. It can be an issue. Opening up late so people don't have to react, or rushing a program. All of these are things that are really important and are aspects of the implementation.
Thank you.
So this has been a fairly high-level overview of initial or preliminary proposed changes. Is there going to be an opportunity for you to maybe have a workshop with the board to drill down in more detail what has actually been considered? Part of the transparency, I think, is making sure we've had the opportunity to vet whether all the questions have been asked and answered, and whether these are the options and what alternatives there may be. And I think that's been really successful in a workshop format. If there's an opportune time in the near future that we could devote time to do that.
Sorry. No, perfect, Julie. Our February board workshop is scheduled to be that.
Is there a possibility for it to be scheduled at a more, at a better time where teachers, staff, working parents can attend?
Sure.
I just think, again, it goes, we need to be serving our community, and we do have, I mean, I think most of us work. And so I think it's important that we have it during off work hours.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I think to echo that, these are probably some of the most significant changes that we've seen in the 4 to 6 years that some of us have been on this board. And so I think, given the impacts to our community, to our families, to our staff, that it's important that we maximize their opportunity to listen, hear, whether it's full-on participation or not, that they trust that we've asked all the questions that we possibly can.
Excellent. Yes.
So if there are no other questions, we will get to the part of the meeting that we know most of you are here for, and that is the citizen comments. If any member of the public would like to make a citizen comment, please sign up online 15 minutes before the meeting or in person. Paper forms are available at the entrance to the meeting room and can be completed and given to the board secretary, Kim White, who tonight is in the back of the room. Each comment is limited to 3 minutes, and Ms. White will keep a timer that will notify you when your time expires. If you need translation services from Spanish to English, Mrs. Pulido is here to assist. She's right back there. We also have Mr. Lopez doing some work with the headsets as well. Due to the number of people signed up to make a public comment this evening, the board would like to request that if the theme of your comment has already been expressed before your opportunity to speak, that you keep your comments as short as possible to allow everyone who wishes to participate the opportunity to do so in a timely fashion. Please also be aware that the board is not obligated to respond to questions or challenges made during public comment, and the board's silence will not necessarily signal agreement or endorsement with the speaker's remarks. Many of you are here regarding the potential consolidation of our elementary schools. Please be advised, as Dr. Callagher reported, that the district will hold 1 or more public hearings during a 90-day period per RCW 28A 335-020 and board policy number 6883, which will also allow for testimony from the public on any school closures before final decision is made. A written analysis will also be prepared by district staff with a plan to present that analysis to the board during the February 13 regular board meeting. A final decision is anticipated to be made by the board's regular meeting on May 14th, 2024. So we do appreciate you being here tonight, and we'd like to remind you that all public comments should adhere to standards of civility that the board imposes on itself, and the board will exercise its authority to maintain order over the content neutral manner this evening. So with that being said, Kim, do we have public comments?
Yeah, we have a few. I
Um,
thought we would go with our online commenters. We had two people sign up. The first is Kayla Grove Hinkle. And
Okay.
we didn't see her online earlier, so I don't know if she has signed in yet. No, okay. So then we can move on to Dorothy Ferguson.
Dorothy, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours. You have 3 minutes.
Hello?
There we go.
We can hear you.
Hello. Okay. Sorry. I'm the older generation. Thank you. I'm a grandmother. I'm Dorothy Ferguson. I live on Concord Place. I'm a grandmother of children who attend Wenatchee School District. I've attended every board meeting since September 2023 because I really wanted to stay in touch with what was going on in our schools. And I know we're all here because our children's education and welfare is our top priority. But on Friday afternoon, I happened to look at Reddit, and someone posted that the Wenatchee School District had just announced that they were going to close Columbia Elementary School. And my reaction was, this can't be true. I attend all the school board meetings, and this was never mentioned as a possibility. So I lost a little bit of trust in the school district board and the district administration for following their strategic plan. But since Friday, I learned that we're in a financial crisis. And we have to solve a big problem. I also learned that the major decision to close an elementary school was made without input from parents or community stakeholders. This impacts some of our most vulnerable students and families. And how this decision was made is not in accordance with the district's strategic plan, the Big Six, their roadmap, a bold commitment, and their promise to students and parents. Number 2 of the Big Six, students know they belong, that they're seen, valued, and heard. And I think parents, too, of elementary school students need that also. I recognize that this decision was made to solve a huge financial crisis. Unfortunately, parents and community members did not have an opportunity to give their input before the decision was made. I don't have a solution to the budget crisis, but I have ideas. I think everyone in this room has ideas for possible solutions, and other people in the community. We have some of the best minds, hearts, and souls in this room, in the district and in our community. And I respectfully request that the Wenatchee School District keep their commitment to students and parents and allow them to participate in solving this problem, and not just to give input after the fact and full steam ahead with the plan. So I have faith in everybody here. I know there's no bad guys in this room. Everybody here, their top priority are the children. And I think when we face a crisis like this, we have to use our roadmap that we set up and stick with that, and we'll probably have the best outcome possible for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Good luck.
Okay, our next few requesters had requested translation, and I'm assuming that is Spanish to English translation. So the first person I had was Tamara Honeycutt. In person, Tamara Honeycutt. Okay. Next with the same request was Elizabeth Kazimba. That's happening automatically. Okay.
Good evening, Dr. Callahar and Wenatchee School Board. I'm Elizabeth Kazemba. I'm speaking tonight as an alumni of Wenatchee Schools, a teacher in the Wenatchee School District, and a parent One son attends Wenatchee High School, the other son attends Columbia Elementary. I attended Columbia and Lincoln Elementary, Pioneer Middle School, and I graduated from Wenatchee High School. I have taught at Columbia Elementary since 2017, and honestly, I could not imagine teaching anywhere else. My teaching career began in special education, with my first 2 years spent teaching a learning center, and then my next 2 years teaching the resource room at Columbia Elementary. I started teaching 4th grade in the fall of 2021, and I have never looked back. 4th grade, and especially 4th grade at Columbia, is my home. I want you to hear from the ones that are going to feel the impact of this the most. My true reason for showing up and doing what I do every day. My kids are flooded with emotions and they want to be heard. I told them I could ask their questions to you. I know we won't hear answers tonight, but I just want them to know that they're being heard. 10 out of the 26 kids in my class said they do not want to have to be the new kid again. 10 students out of 26 have that life experience already. One student said, of all the schools I've been in, Columbia was the one I really thought I could stay in, and 8 other students agreed with her. Another student wrote, I feel disappointed because I have gone to 5 different schools, and this one is the best. I don't want to be the new kid again, and I hope I will still have friends. She has attended 5 different schools already, and she is only in 4th grade. Do you really think that moving her is in her best interest? Another student wrote, I feel sad and mad. I don't know what school I'm going to go to. I don't want to be the new kid, and I don't want to move because what if my friends don't go there, and what if I don't make new friends? They have so many questions. And like I said, I promised I would ask you. I would make sure you heard what they were wondering. Every single one of them asks, why Columbia? They also want to know, what if the new school I get sent to gets shut down too? It's really hard to start over, so why do I have to again? Can this school just not shut down? Who are the people who will shut it down? Will Columbia ever open back up? How early will I have to get up to go to my new school or catch a bus? And what if I miss my bus? How will I get to school? Why is there no money for our school? Why is this happening? Is there a way we can help Columbia not be shut down? And the big one that is floating around amongst the kids is, what kind of fundraiser can we put together to save our school? And last, or not last, but is there really a school that they think is better than Columbia? I wanted to share 2 thoughts that my students shared with me.
You're
But I-
out of time. If you can just wrap it up,
Okay.
like one more thought.
I'm gonna let one young lady share with you later, but this last one, my student Maya said, I feel sad. It's just like a chapter book. There's this one chapter that I love, and that's this school. And I thought I could stay here until the end of 5th grade and then go on to my next chapter. And now I have to be a new kid all over again. And not many people like being the new kid. And that is the
Okay, I'm gonna announce the next 2 names so that you can be ready when it's your time. Judy Dubuque. And after that will be Bonifacio Moreno. And again, I think. Yeah. Oh, that's happening then. Okay.
Down a little bit. I'm Judy Dubuque, and I am a grandma, first of all. But I have 2 grandsons in the Wenatchee Public Schools, one in Columbia Elementary, and I'm very proud of them. I have lived in this valley for 40 years and have been involved in all kinds of things. I'm a retired social worker, God help us. But part of my time was also as a school social worker. So the very first thing that struck me about this was it was a done deal. I was shocked. I mean, I don't know if I've gotten through my shock yet. Who made this decision and how was this decision made? Why Columbia? Why not get parents and alumni and, everyone in the community? This is a community in the community to speak and give their voice to this. Like she said, and that was the first woman that spoke, there are a lot of brave and good minds in this room. And I think that we can come to a better decision and outcome for our community. And I think I'm, support anyone that can do that. But this is a shocking done deal to me, was my read. And that's just as the person reading the Wenatchee World and reading other things about this. And I thought, how in the world was this done? Who asked? Who asked for support or input? I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. And I have some hope that by May 14th, we'll come to a decision that's good for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Primero, buenas tardes a todos. Que tengan, espero que estén bien todos. Y bueno, nomás vengo porque tengo mi nieta. Mi esposa fue a esa escuela Colombia. Mi hija, mi hijo, mis dos hijas. Y mi pregunta es, ¿por qué escogieron Colombia? ¿Por qué vendrán otras escuelas? Supuestamente hay más escuelas que están llenas. ¿Por qué de esas escuelas no cambian a niños que vayan a la escuela Colombia? ¿Por qué habiendo tanto dinero que desperdician en las campañas, que no es necesario, que nomás hacen pelear a toda la gente? ¿Por qué no usan el dinero ese mejor para ayudar a los niños? ¿No les parte el corazón ver a sus niños que van a sufrir, que van a volver a empezar? Ajá.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bonifacio Moreno, and I am here just to ask why are you choosing to close Columbia? Practically my whole family went to that school. My grandchild goes to that school. And I am asking why did you choose Columbia? Why don't you just move other students from other schools to the Columbia school? And why don't you choose other programs to be to Columbia?
No, o sea que ¿por qué todos esos millones que andan usando para las campañas de ahora que vienen las elecciones? ¿Por qué no quitan esos dineros y se los mandan a las escuelas que lo necesitan? Los niños van a empezar otra vez. Ellos son los que van a sufrir.
Yeah.
Pienso que no sienten algo que les parte el corazón a los maestros, al distrito.
He is asking, why don't you use all that money that you're using for the campaigns? Use it for the students. Doesn't it break your heart to see the students suffer from you closing the school?
Y lo que pasa es que nomás están dividiendo Estados Unidos, es lo que hacen con todas las campañas, haciendo nomás, dividiendo Estados Unidos.
So what you're doing is dividing the United States with these campaigns that you're making.
Okay, muchas gracias, es todo.
Oh, thank you. That's everything.
Thank you. Next up, Rafael Alfaro. Okay, it doesn't look like he's here. So our first registered online registration for in-person comment, Roxana Vanetta.
Gotta find my written. Hey, hello, my name is Roxana Vanetta. I'm a teacher librarian at Columbia Elementary. I'm also a parent. When we think of a school, we think of community, classrooms, dedicated teachers and students, and feelings of safety and belonging. School is a place our students experience connection, a community who will nurture them as they grow and provide an education to the whole child. The closure of Columbia seems to be against the Big Six. It is imposing educational equity barriers for the following reasons. There was no community involvement up until now. Impact of vulnerable and or marginalized students who historically have taken the brunt when schools are closed. This closure is creating a rupture of the fabric of community, as that is what Columbia is. These families and students love their school, and that is being taken away without having their voice heard first. This also goes against the Big Six. This does not make students, families feel seen, heard, or validated. The research on school closure is limited, and historically, they are not that common in our community. With that said, Columbia is in the heart of the community of Wenatchee, in the center. It has stood in that same spot for 100 years. I encourage stakeholders in this situation to refer to the articles on key guidelines for school closures I emailed this morning from the Center on Reinventing Public Education. In my letter read to the school cabinet on Monday, I referred to the 50th anniversary of Lau versus Nichols, in which the court ruled there is no equality of treatment, merely providing students with the same facilities, textbooks, teachers, and curriculum for students who do not understand English are effectively foreclosed from any meaningful education. With this quote, I referred to our multilingual students. They are dear to my heart as I'm also one. How is this decision providing multilingual students a facility, access to a meaningful education, access to teachers that already know their background as multilanguage learners and who have worked with them by providing services, interventions through their educational career at Columbia? I'm going to finish with two quotes, one from my son, who is a second grader. I won't see my friends, playground, or my teachers, and it is the 100th year anniversary. Can I stay at Columbia? I'm not happy. Closing schools is perpetuating the systemic racism that we know exists in the education system because, once again, it will affect BIPOC students and students who need us in ways only we can serve and provide, as that is what makes us Columbia.
Thank you. Okay, next, we actually do have Rafael Alfaro, and after that will be Marcy Wright.
Hola, buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Rafael Alfaro. Hoy en esta noche soy la voz de mi familia y mi hijo Juan Carlos Alfaro, estudiante de primer grado de la Escuela Columbia Elementary.
Good evening. My name is Rafael Alfaro.
Okay. Hola, buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Rafael Alfaro. Hoy en esta noche soy la voz de mi familia y de mi hijo Juan Carlos Alfaro.
Tonight, I am the voice of my family and my son, Juan Carlos Alfaro,
Estudiante de primer grado de la Escuela Columbia Elementary.
who attends first grade at Columbia Elementary.
Yo comprendo que mi tiempo es limitado, así que trataré de ser lo más breve posible.
I understand that my time is limited, so I will try to be as fast as I can.
Tengo entendido que la razón por la cual están cerrando la escuela es por la baja población estudiantil.
I understand that the reason you were closing Columbia is for declining enrollment.
Mi pregunta es, ¿por qué los estudiantes de los alrededores a la escuela Columbia son ubicados a una escuela más lejana y no a la Columbia, que está más próxima?
My question is, why are the students that are close to Columbia or going to other schools that are, even if they're closer to Columbia, like the border schools?
Por ejemplo, la mitad de la calle Manhouse Street, Chelan Street y Kashmir Street son ubicados en la escuela Jan Newberry, localizada al otro lado de la ciudad.
For example, is that Madhouse, digo?
La mitad de la Manhouse Street,
Half of Madhouse Street,
Chalana Street,
Chelan Street,
Kashmir,
Kashmir Street.
son ubicados a la escuela January, que
They
está
go-
por la
they-
Windsor Street,
They go to January.
de la ciudad. Para mí no sé, administran los recursos como deben de administrarse.
For me, you're not administrating the resources the way that they need to be administered.
No en tanto así es el problema. La escuela es como se administran los recursos. Porque hemos tenido noticias que otras escuelas están sobrepobladas. Y si tú cargas más sobrepoblación a las escuelas, no vamos a obtener una educación de calidad.
So you're not administering the resources that you have. So you're going to be enrolling students to other schools, and it's going to be crowded in the other schools.
Los políticos en este país nos pueden fallar, pero jamás el sistema educativo, porque ese es el futuro de nuestra nación.
So the politics in this state can fail us, but never the education system.
Esta escuela lleva 100 años funcionando.
This school has been functioning for 100 years.
Las personas antes de ustedes hicieron un buen trabajo. ¿Por qué ustedes no?
The people before you did a good job. Why are you not doing a good job?
Son 100 años de historia que le están arrebatando a nuestra comunidad.
It's 100 years of history that you're taking away from our community.
Tengo 2 hijos que se graduaron orgullosamente de la Escuela Columbia. Tengo otro hijo que está en la Escuela Columbia y tengo un hijo más que quisiera que ingresara a la Escuela
I have
Columbia.
2 students that graduated from Columbia School, and I have another one that is attending, and I have another one that I want to attend Columbia School.
And your time is up. Can I get you one more thought and wrap it up?
¿Se le terminó el tiempo? ¿Tiene algo más que decir rápido?
Tengo mucho que decir, pero eso sería todo.
I have a lot to say, but I don't have time. Thank you.
Julie and Dr. Kelleher, I'm going to request that we grant 4 minutes to our speakers that need interpreting services to not take away from the.
Yes. So you know, I did give additional time, so just so you.
All right. I am Marcy Wright, TK teacher at Columbia. This is my team, part of it. Imagine, if you will, this old house. Imagine you've saved up and you were able to purchase a 100-year-old house, but it needs a lot of work. The kitchen is old and infested with cockroaches. The bathroom is moldy, it has a rotting floor. The roof is leaking and needs to be replaced. And the rest of the house has cosmetic issues, yet the foundation is solid and there is room to grow. A team who is skilled and devoted, say that with me, skilled and devoted, has been brought in with a shared vision and culture of how this house should be fixed up into a home. We start with the roof. The team works hard together to build a solid roof to keep out the cold and the weather. Better than any roof in the neighborhood. Next, the kitchen is cleaned out and remodeled to be super functional. In the bathroom, the floors have been shored up and everything is safe again. You have unused square footage, so you decide to create bedrooms to take in your elderly parents and provide them with the care they deserve. And you adopt 2 children with adverse childhood experiences who need a safe and loving home. Now, it's not a house, but it's a home filled with love and safety. Now, imagine the city comes into your beautiful home that you have worked so hard to create, admires it, and comments on how much better it is than any house on the block. And then they say, You have to leave your home. You have to go to Seattle. Your elderly parents, they've got to go to Yakima. Your vulnerable adopted kids, they've got to go to Spokane. This is how we feel about our hard work that has been done at Columbia. By moving our skilled and devoted team away from each other and away from our kids, we will not be able to replicate what we have been able to do with this solid foundation.
Thank you. Next up, we have Nicole Kern and then Jack Eaton. Oh, okay. Okay. So Nicole, go ahead.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Awesome. My name is Nicole Kern, and I am a doctor of school psychology. My emphasis is on childhood trauma. And I think that we can all agree that this particular situation that we are being faced with is going to be extremely traumatic for our students. And as dramatic as that sounds, I stand behind my statement. This is an extremely unexpected shift for our kids. And I'm going to repeat this. Our children are extremely vulnerable. I know because I work with our highest needs kids on a daily basis. Columbia is a safe space for our babies. It is where they are always going to have consistent love, connection, food, things that most of our kids get, but there might be a few that don't get that on a daily basis. And that's what we do. And we do it with love, and we do it because it's what we want to do, not because what we have to do. I did my doctoral thesis on foster care and mental health. And while this is not a foster care situation, one of the things I learned in my research is that the more times a child is moved into a new situation, new home, new school, the harder it is for them to form bonds with the people that are put in place to care for them. We are putting all of our students at risk of having difficulties forming bonds with staff. And when you think of our kids who are high needs, some staff might already have a difficult time connecting. How much harder is it going to be for them to connect with these kids when they've been ripped out of their school and placed in a completely new environment with new staff, with new kids, when they don't have to be? Of course, our kids are going to go through 5th grade. They're going to level up to middle school and then high school. That's a given. That's something we cannot prevent. This feels preventable. And I want the board and I want everybody in our community to think of ways to make it so our kids don't have to go through undue trauma. I'm going to go to give people time, but I just want to share my daughter is a 4th grader at Columbia. She has been at 4 different schools because unfortunately her mom, when I had to get my doctorate, I had to travel for my practicum and internship. And she saw me work extremely hard to get my doctorate, but that meant having to move schools. She's been at Columbia for 2 years now. She was going to be at a school for 3 years straight. This was going to be a beautiful thing. That's not going to happen now. She's devastated. She's also an artist. So she made this rendition of our Columbia Cougar crying. And she also made this sign. Who's going to listen to our kids? We're listening, but we don't have a lot to say. Please listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is Jack Eaton still in the room? Oh, there he is. After Jack, we will have Michaela Salgado.
tilt. Can you hear me? Can you hear me too well? My name is Jack Eaton. I live at 1216 First Street. I don't have children in the Wenatchee schools. I do have a grandchild, but she's in Virginia in school. 2 weeks ago, on your agenda, you had a contract for school resource officers, and I was out of town. I asked the superintendent to take it off the agenda, and he declined. I asked each of you to table it. You declined. I have a lot of concerns about this contract. The superintendent and I think 7 or 8 others of us spent 2 hours in this very room on August 10th, going over it line by line. And we had lots of suggestions for improvements. Virtually none of them made it into the new contract after 6 months of review by staff. I'll highlight only my greatest concern, but I'm hoping you'll look at the whole thing. Okay, you did approve the contract on the 9th of January unanimously and without discussion. In section 6 of the new contract, and the old contract, I believe, entitled Officer Responsibilities, paragraph 6.14 reads as follows: teachers and school administrators may, and I emphasize may, ask an officer to intervene if a student's presence poses an immediate and continuing danger to others, or an immediate and continuing threat of material and substantial disruption of the educational process, or in other emergency circumstances. Teachers and school administrators may ask an officer under those circumstances. I'm horrified. Every one of you had this to read in advance. Every one of you should have raised a red flag that teachers and school administrators must. You all know what the dangers are. To be respectful of the children in the room, I'm not going to go into graphic detail, but if you think of Uvalde, Texas, Oxford, Michigan, Parkland, Florida, Newport News, Virginia, Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and last month, University of Las Vegas, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where the perpetrator was a 68-year-old wannabe professor. Okay, it isn't just students, it's any intruder, any aggressor. It's not just students. It's any intruder, any aggressor. Okay, included in the contract language, and by the way, I had this all written out, but it took more than 3 minutes, and I ask for a little indulgence here because I'm going off script. I have provided the script to the board secretary. Included in the contract language regarding officer responsibilities is paragraph 6.17, which reads as follows, and this is also from the former contract: follow all state and federal laws and all policies of the Wenatchee Police Department and the district, including district policy and procedure 4311. So I looked up 4311. Okay, it's in section 4000 of your policies. It is entitled Community Relations, School Safety and Security Services Program. The request for intervention paragraph reads as follows. Might sound familiar.
Mr. Eaton, your time is up.
If you don't want to hear this, I'll leave.
If you could please either share it at the next meeting or if you want to share the script that you gave the
I
board
have shared the
secretary.
script, but if you don't want to hear it, you didn't want to hear it 2 weeks ago, you don't want to hear it now. I'm greatly distressed by the optional opportunity for teachers to report
Thank you.
serious mayhem.
Thank you.
And you voted to allow it to occur without notice. So if you want to talk about it, in detail, call me. If you don't, I'll get the message.
Who's next? Thank you.
Michaela Salgado. After that, we will have Jocelyn Flitton.
Hello, my name is Micaela Salgado. I am a kindergarten teacher at Columbia. This is how I'm going to start out. I don't want to leave my school. I don't want to leave my friends. Will I still see my friends? I will miss my friends. I don't want to leave you. I'm going to miss you and the other teachers. I love this school and I don't want to leave. Why does the school have to close? Can we raise money to keep the school open? These are only a few things I had students ask and say to me after hearing the heartbreaking news that Columbia will be closing. I have no answers to their questions as I haven't been provided with any myself. How does closing one of the most vulnerable schools follow your promise that states, we promise to build a foundation of diversity, equity, and inclusion from which each student emerges future ready? It doesn't. There is nothing diverse, inclusive, or equitable about this decision. I'll end with two things. I'll end with one quote. Listening to an underserved population is how you begin to understand and serve them better. And one last thing that my students keep telling me every single day, Ms. Salgado, we're sticky. We're not leaving you. And at the end of the day, well, we see you tomorrow. But when the last day comes, I won't be able to say, yes, you'll see me tomorrow, because I don't know.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Flitton. I have been teaching at Columbia Elementary for 26 years. There are 3 or 4 other teachers who have been there longer than me, and we're there for a reason. But what I want to point out to you tonight, and hope that you can hear, we're not talking about ourselves. We're not talking about, you can't move me, leave me at Columbia. We're not asking for anything for ourselves. We're asking you to hear about the needs of our students and the fact that Columbia, we're kind of a unicorn. We're the place where those kids can learn and grow and care and share in the best possible way. And if you want to send us more, we'll take them.
Thank you. Next is Amy Speets and then Janelle Blakeney.
Good evening. My name is Amy Speets. I grew up in the Wenatchee School District. I have taught for 12 years at Orchard Middle School in various roles, and I currently have 2 children that attend school within our district. I'm speaking tonight in regards to the adjustment of the middle school schedules and to provide some of the transparency that you guys have requested here tonight. At the beginning of early stages of this process, staff were given an article by Dr. Kalahar that highlighted the practices and scheduling for adolescent development and learning. This article gave us hope that while no one wanted a change, at least this was being done with what's best for students in mind. Unfortunately, the current schedule options proposed are in direct opposition to that research and will drastically decrease, if not eliminate, our ability to fulfill the promises that you have made to our students and families by this district. You have promised that our students within our care will feel a sense of belonging and connectedness to our schools. The teachers in our schools work daily to build relationships and foster an environment that is emotionally safe for students. We work in teams to identify when students are struggling. We set up student, teacher, and family meetings to discuss how we can support every student in a way that is personalized to their current need. We implement counseling services. We give clothing, food, and hygiene supplies to students in need. We offer group sessions to learn new skills so students can access learning and feel successful. We meet with families to set up partnerships to hold kids accountable and support them when they are struggling. The schedules being proposed eliminate the current structure that we use that allow teachers to identify and intervene on these needs. It also doubles the number of students each teacher sees throughout the day. The volume of students alone will make it nearly impossible to continue to build relationships with students and support them at the same level we are currently doing. It is gut-wrenching to think of what we will miss and be unable to identify in our students' lives because we don't have the capacity to support their needs like we currently do. You have promised our students that will read on grade level and be algebra ready. At Orchard, we currently have 80-minute class periods. With the new options given to us, we will be losing roughly 88 minutes per week of instruction. Throughout the year, that's roughly 53 hours of math and ELA instruction being lost. With this loss of time, the current math and reading intervention programs that we use to help fill the gaps for our students who are furthest behind are no longer viable options during the class period. This means that any intervention now becomes homework. Many of our struggling students do not have the ability or the resources to do homework. They have no Wi-Fi. They have no adult at home who is able to help them. They are sharing a room with multiple family members. They are in charge of their siblings late into the night. Yes, these are all real scenarios from students currently in our classrooms. You are now widening the access gap for our most vulnerable students. You have promised that students will be involved in real world and relevant learning. Monday mindsets, financial literacy, budgeting, SEL work, cooking, interviewing skills. These are all just some of the extras that we do to ensure that our students are getting real world learning experiences. With the drastic reduction in class time, these opportunities are gone. We will teach the bare minimum because that is all there is time for. The very subjects that hook kids into school and keep them looking forward to coming to class are being taken away. We are fully aware that cuts have to be made. However, in regards to the current scheduling conversation at the middle level, there are several other viable schedule options that meet both the financial needs and allow our schools to continue to do what is best for kids. I want to repeat, there are other viable scheduling options that meet financial needs and allow for our schools to continue to do what's best for kids. We ask that you guys give those options a chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janelle Blakeney, and I am a teacher at Orchard Middle School. I am a product of the Wenatchee school system. I went to Columbia, the old brick Columbia. I have 5 children who have gone through Wenatchee School District. 2 of them are currently juniors at the high school. So I want to tell you about Orchard. At Orchard, we have worked hard to put in place systems that help us know all of our kids. Our PLCs focus on supporting students with academic, social, emotional well-being, and the overall world of middle school. In a survey giving to our middle school teachers, 98 of them said PLC time was the #1 priority to keep when choosing a new schedule. It was taken away. Here are just a few things that we do during our PLC time. Mondays and Fridays are grade level team days. This is when all teachers from the same grade level come together to build consistency amongst the team. A lot of this time is spent on important school business, such as planning and organizing student-led conferences, state testing, reviewing notes from our learning and teaching team, and offering feedback, planning with CTE to organize field trips, writing positive notes home. Our specialist teachers organize amazing activities for our students and meet with our multilingual students during this time. Some activities include Christmas cookie decorating, OMS basketball, foursquare, bowling, and volleyball tournaments, the annual turkey trot, and candy cane lane. These are fundamental pieces of our school culture, and it helps students feel connected and build healthy relationships with staff and peers. Tuesdays and Thursdays are dedicated to content. We want our students to experience high quality instruction. So teachers collaborate during PLC time with each other to effectively implement our guaranteed and viable curriculum. On these days, you will see teachers looking at lesson plans, assignments, and standards. They will look at student data and identify kids who need intervention or enrichment. The district has asked teachers to input data for common formative assessments into spreadsheets, and teachers use this time to do that as well. But probably the most important component of this time is the amazing lessons that are built. Our 7th grade math team plans and implements Monday Mindset. This is a day where math students start with a positive message for the week, set goals, and work on learning new math academic vocabulary that will be utilized in class. The teachers co-teach and combine for this activity and implement GLAD strategies that targets our multilingual students. Students love Monday Mindsets because they get to hear stories from their teachers about character and strength, and they get to set goals for themselves that week while working alongside their peers. If our Big 6 commitment is real, then we strongly feel we need to take a step back and look more closely at our options for the middle school scheduling. Losing PLC time will impact our students greatly, And we invite our board to come and watch how we utilize this time. And we hope you hear what we're saying. We encourage you to put students' needs first.
Thank you. Next up, Katie Tadnode, and then Tracy Sleeper.
Hi, I'm Katie Patnode, and I teach 8th grade at Orchard Middle School. And I have 2 elementary students very eager to come up to Orchard. Our PLC time continues with Wednesdays being dedicated to SST, our student study team. At these meetings, we plan for referrals to special education and collect necessary data. We also develop and implement 504 plans. Besides IEPs and 504s, our SST teams center around students who may need extra support and yet don't qualify for these services. Here is an example. At an 8th grade SST meeting last week, a math teacher brought up a student who is not making adequate progress or connecting with peers or adults. We looked at his past SBA and iReady scores, gathered input from teachers, and planned to meet with him the next morning. 3 teachers met with the student Thursday morning, developed a plan to swap his ELA and math periods, and pinpointed students we could seat him by and invite to have lunch with him and a teacher to help him build friendships. By the end of the day, this student, who rarely responds with more than one inaudible word, spent 15 minutes in a meaningful conversation with his mentor teacher. He felt seen and cared about, and as one of these teachers, I felt that my work impacted the life of a student. These schedules are gutting our intervention and support systems. In doing so, we are guaranteeing that we fail the promises you made to the community. When teachers at the 3 middle schools were surveyed, 62% of them voted that having a separate, dedicated period for intervention was important to them. Since this survey was given and the cabinet reviewed the data, the schedule that allowed for a separate intervention period was taken away as one of the choices due to teachers not having PLC time. Therefore, not having time to collaborate to create the intervention groups and curriculum for those classes. All of our Big 6 commitments thread through PLC time. Content teams are dedicated to high quality instruction and support students in being algebra ready. SST teams are dedicated to helping students feel seen, valued, and heard. Grade level and specialist teams work together to create activities and field trips that have real-world relevant learning experiences and build relationships among students. So tonight, our OMS teachers plead with the board that we approach the middle school schedule with kids in mind, with our Big 6 in mind, that we see the value in our PLC teams and we prioritize this. Can our district be more open to new scheduling ideas while still addressing the budget crisis we are facing? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Sleeper. I am a Wenatchee School District employee, Orchard Middle School, and I've been with the district for 15 years. We promise to build a foundation of diversity, equity, and inclusion from which each student emerges future ready. This is the promise you all have made to our community on our behalf. As these cuts are being made, please remember that equity and equality are 2 different things. Equity does not mean doing the same thing across 3 different buildings. In fact, you would be hard-pressed to find any district with 3 multiple middle schools that run the same schedule district-wide. Each of our middle schools has diverse student needs. Therefore, the schedules being proposed erase our opportunities to meet the needs of our individual learners and families. Support for middle school students sometimes takes a back seat to those for elementary school and high school. Elementary school is where you get the foundations of reading and writing, and in high school is where the attention is focused on successful transitions to adulthood with graduation and beyond. Middle school is exactly that, in the middle. At the same time, parents often struggle the most with the students during this years. They often feel a loss of connection. Middle school students aren't prone to ask for help either. They want to be self-reliant, and often that means talking to their parents less and more to their teachers. Their social world is tough. I read an article recently about middle school students. It recognized that middle school is often the toughest time in a youth's life. Most adults, if asked, would not volunteer to go back to middle school. In fact, they joke and say that those are the dark days. Research states for almost 50% of students, grades 7 through 9, are often the make it or break it time for students. By the time students reach the 10th grade, we average losing almost 1/3 of our students nationwide and over 60% of the at-risk students and students from high poverty urban areas. Traditional scheduling has failed to address the specific learning needs and requirements they need to be successful. To increase the odds of graduation, scheduling must provide the necessary supports for success, acceleration, opportunities for choice, intervention, enrichment as needed, foundational supports for core classes, flexibility, and the opportunity for credit recovery. Scheduling is a critical component of effective middle schools. Traditional middle school schedules reduce the amount of instructional time in core reading and math courses, while adding additional time for science and social studies and exploratory courses. Middle school schedules must strategically allow varying lengths that are appropriate for core instructional time, have flexibility to allow for needed additional instruction, offer exploratory courses to meet social, emotional needs, and prepare students for high school tracks, as well as offer student choice and acceleration options. We understand that cuts need to be made and that you have hard choices ahead to make. We are urging you to make them what the students' needs first. Thank you.
Next, we have Thomas Elliott, followed by Hannah Aaron. Can I get your name? Hannah? Yeah.
Oh. Hi, so I'm going to try to do this without crying. I apologize. Speaking in front of people makes me really nervous. I'm just here in support for Columbia. My child has had a very, very hard time starting school, having a terminally ill parent. And his journey has not been easy. And he's had a really hard time transitioning from being a child that has not had anybody in his life other than his family, because he's been stuck at home with a terminally ill parent and also COVID. So his introduction into the world was Columbia. It was a rough start. I won't say that it wasn't. I'm somebody that is a born and raised Kashmir person, so I was always really scared that my children weren't going to have the one-on-one capability that Kashmir did here at the Wenatchee School District. That has changed. I am a full supporter of Columbia schools. They have done nothing but care for my son and make sure that he has a safe environment to be in and that he's loved and that he's taken care of on a daily basis. It's very hard to earn his trust and to be able to have him use words in general. Him being able to come in on a daily basis and see the same people is a very big deal. He has finally decided that he is comfortable with the team that he has and is growing, and his language has expanded tenfold. His ability to interact with other children is just astronomical. His ability to understand other students and their emotional abilities as well, and how to interact, is becoming something that I could not have imagined if I didn't have a dedicated crew like I do at Columbia. I am speaking on behalf of my ex-husband as well.
he is at home taking care of our children. I really urge you to look at a different solution than closing down a school that has done nothing. Then be there and provide for children that need that, and having a dedicated team that is willing to take time out of their day to form an emergency squad to be able to make sure that my child isn't running out into the street because he doesn't understand that he can't stay with it just because he doesn't want to be in class, that he doesn't have to be there. There are teachers and principals that are taking time out of their day that they could be doing with other children, making sure that he is safe and making sure that every other child at that school is safe as well. Closing the school, it would be devastating. My child has, every single day since finding this out, has come home crying, saying, I don't know if I can go to another school because they don't know them. His older brother takes him to school every day. It is a point of pride for both of my children to walk up to that school every single day. And it's a point of pride to me to be able to walk him into those front doors every single day and see the exact same staff waiting and overjoyed to see him daily. Here's kind of where I'm at.
Thank you.
Next, Brittany Stevens, and then John Price, the fourth.
Hello. Before I started, I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Callahar for your calm and compassionate way that you presented that budget information. I know this is a really hard topic to discuss, and I appreciate you being aware of that and being sensitive to it. My name is Brittany Stevens. I am a former Wenatchee School District teacher and the parent of a kindergartner at Columbia who loves walking to school every day as well. I am extremely disappointed in the timing and circumstances surrounding Wenatchee School District's announcement of its decision to close Columbia Elementary. In recent years, Wenatchee School District has developed a reputation for making backroom decisions without stakeholder input and then announcing those decisions after it's too late. This behavior delivers significant blows to staff morale and sows distrust within the community. As a teacher, it is so incredibly difficult to do your job effectively when you feel like you have no control over your situation and you're constantly getting blindsided and uprooted by changes made by the people in charge. I admire the staff at Columbia for helping and comforting hundreds of confused and crying children yesterday, while also silently managing their own emotions and fears, and also while teaching reading and math. Part of the reason I left Wenatchee School District myself was because of these harmful decisions, these harmful decision-making habits at the DO. It wears you down, it depletes you, it demoralizes you. Wenatchee School District is preparing to put a bond on the ballot. I'm concerned that a decision like closing a beloved elementary school in the heart of town and announcing it quietly on a weekend with absolutely no communication to parents is not going to garner public support for this cause. Everything about this announcement was problematic and will contribute to the public's distrust of the district. No public committee, no discussions or surveys with community members, no mention of a 90-day period for public input, informing staff on a Friday afternoon so they couldn't ask too many questions before the work week ended, quietly posting the press release on the district website but not sharing it on social media, not a single Blooms or email communication to parents of Columbia students about the decision, so we had to rely on rumors on Facebook to inform our children and then send them to school on Monday, not knowing what they were going to hear. Not giving Columbia staff the promised follow-up information on their Monday meeting yesterday. Even the wording of the press release is misleading, according to, as we've heard about the state law with the 90-day requirement before a decision can be made. And others have mentioned that the press release made it seem like a very final decision. And I hope that the district didn't intentionally word that announcement to make it sound like the decision was final to disenfranchise people from thinking they could do anything about it. I'll just echo the sentiments of other people. I don't know what that beep was, 22, okay. Rather than just seeking public input at this point, I think we need to take a step back and get workshops and community involvement where we can help give ideas rather than just saying, you know, fill out this survey and tell us what's important to you and we'll make the decisions. I've lived through that so many times with this district and it doesn't fulfill what you need it to fulfill. I have a lot of ideas. I'd be happy to sign up for a committee, and I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, buenas noches. My name is John Benson Price IV. I go by Ben. This is my 12th year teaching elementary students and my 3rd year teaching in Wenatchee at Columbia Elementary. I want to thank the board and cabinet for having us here today and being allowed to speak about this matter. I want to start by sharing my personal mission statement as an educator. This comes from my favorite education book, The First Days of School by Harry Wong. Each child is living the only life he or she has, the only one he or she will ever have. The least we can do is not diminish it. Columbia Elementary students have shown growth and stability in their social emotional learning. Columbia Elementary students' academic growth in math and reading are strong. By the way, Columbia Elementary students have shown the most high growth in these areas in the district elementary schools per OSPI report cards. To close out Columbia Elementary, where social emotional needs are being met and academic growth is strong, is illogical. To dismantle a thriving culture where student outcomes are improving defies best practices. This arbitrary proposal will fracture Columbia Elementary, a prosperous, fertile, and life-changing environment for our Columbia Elementary community. Illogical. School board members, if this was your child attending Columbia Elementary, how would you feel about this proposal? Would you want assurance from your district leaders that they had exhausted all financial resource options prior to this irreversible course of action of closing a successful learning environment for your child? As caring parents, I'm sure each of you would. And that's what your Columbia parents are asking of you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, Tamara Honeycutt, then Francie Fry. Okay. Francie Fry, and then followed by Liz Dedamore.
Good evening, Columbia families and Wenatchee School District board members. My name is Francie Fry. I am the parent of 2 Columbia Elementary students and 1 with special needs. When it comes to problem solving, I like to consider myself a solution-based in my approach. I am choosing to use my time to speak as a parent and advocate of Columbia Elementary. In case I run out of time, I have made multiple copies of this statement and have also attached below what I believe could be thought-provoking questions and suggestions on alternative solutions. So with that, here's my parent testimony on behalf of Columbia Elementary and why I believe this school is worthy of being saved. Among the parent body, there is much concern over what ripple effects this decision could have on our children, mostly regarding social, emotional, and academic setbacks. As a mom of a child with special needs, I can tell you that those concerns for this vulnerable group of kids is heightened. My son, Xander Fry, is autistic with a couple other challenges on top of that. Creating consistency and a reliable routine for him and kids like him is key to their success at school and in other environments. Removing him from what is working would have serious setbacks. Meeting the needs of neurodiverse children within public schools is not easy. This is no one size fits all. It takes time and learning what their strengths are and how to highlight those strengths in their learning while also knowing where their specific limitations and challenges lie. Xander's support team at Columbia has grown with him, understands him, and his needs are currently being met beautifully. I feel this reflects the values held up by the incredible administrative and support staff. Individually, they are all phenomenal at their job, but more specifically, it's how they operate as a team that creates the real magic. Spend one day watching them in action, and it would be evident that there is something very valuable and special happening here. This is something that our community needs more of, not less of. Xander is thriving, and he knows that he is seen and cared for. For a parent who has spent many sleepless nights worrying about the outcome of her child, having the support of Mr. Stuber and his team have been a lifeline for our family, and I'm certain other families as well. The overall environment at Columbia is inclusive. It embraces and celebrates diversities while keeping an overall tone of unity front and center. All backgrounds are embraced equally. This is the world I want to live in. The students are held accountable and uplifted to be the best they can be. I'm so grateful for the positive examples shown to our kids every day by the staff. No group of students in our community in recent history has had to go through something like this. The negative impact this could have on our kids will only be known in future years. I can already tell you that there has trauma started to set in within our children. There are many fears, tears, and valid concerns welling up. It is our job as parents to try and best frame any changes in the most positive way. After breaking the news of a possible closure and reset to my kids, I can tell this will be a very deep burden on parents. I have already felt the toll of my own mental and physical health in the past few days.
That's your time. Can you wrap it up?
Thank you.
Is the board okay
I'm
with that?
almost done. I hate to think that that is my foreseeable future. Part of Xander's success is also related to the group of peers he has grown with. They understand him and look out for him. I have been told by another mother that her daughter has mentioned concern for what would happen to Xander if school is closed and kids are separated. This is an example of the closeness and care this group of peers has amongst each other. For my family, this is not a logistical matter or a matter of preference. I would happily drive further and longer to keep my kids at Columbia School to get the care and support he needs. Please consider the effect on all students at Columbia, and also please remember my son's name and story as an example of our school's most vulnerable students caught in the crosshairs of the school board's decisions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
May I hand my statement over?
Does Dedamore, did you still want to go? Okay. Marina Avina, then Jessica O'Connor.
Hello, my name is Karina Avina, and this is my daughter Abby, who also has a few words to say, so I'll keep it short. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say this has been a rough week for our students, parents, and all of Columbia's staff. There has been anger, tears, and a lot of grappling to understand why the Wenatchee School District would handle the releases of such an impact information with absolutely disregard of the community as a whole, but especially a disregard of our children at Columbia Elementary, who have been a subject to unfair amount of anxiety and stress. These kids deserve some accountability from the school board. The loss of the services provided by the school, such as TK and special care for children with special needs, will harm the community beyond repair. Every year, I hear the impact stories of parents who have finally found the help they need because of the Columbia staff. I know many parents in the area that were told that schools were too full to choice in, but Wenatchee School District insists that there are room for all students, and 2 of them, while also insisting that will not affect class sizes negativity. Our schools, with the exception of 1, have horrible ratings and test scores, and I refuse to see how shoving more kids into classes will help this matter in any way. What will Sunny Slope Elementary classes size look like comparison to Mission View and Washington? This appears to be a targeted effort on behalf of the Wenatchee School District to target an area where many are undeserved in the community. Simple result. Redraw boundaries going forward to include wider area for Columbia to help ease class sizes for all the surrounding schools, and much better option than to shut us down.
Hi, my name is Abby, and I've been going to Columbia Elementary for 3 years. All of us students have gotten really close with our teachers, and this is our school, and we want to stay here.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I never went to Wenatchee. I have a 5-year-old who has attended Columbia, and I have a 4-year-old who is hoping to attend Columbia next year. Friday afternoon, I found out that her school was going to be closed. I was devastated to tell her this. By the time I was in 4th grade, I had gone to 10 different schools. So the fact that my child got to go to one school and her brother got to go to that same school was going to be magnificent. She keeps asking, how can we help, Mom? Can we make cookies? Can we make muffins? We need more Cougar dollars, Mom. How do we help save my school? My teacher cried. My friends are crying. Why is everybody crying, Mom? I want to ride a bus, but I don't want to ride a bus to Mission View. I don't want to ride a bus anywhere. I want to go to school where my teachers are and my friends. You speak of the poverty and those who don't speak English, those that need special needs, they won't get left behind. How do we know that they won't get left behind? They're going to bigger classes. They're going to be riding a bus, making their first day of kindergarten longer, more dramatic. They're going to have to ride their bus home. Bus drivers that we can't hire? I mean, I have a 4- and 5-year-old. I did it on my phone, so it's not that great, but I don't understand how good Columbia has been for our daughter and for so many other children. And you're just going to take the school away. You told us on Friday that the school was closed. That's what everything said. We were to believe that they were not going to have school. My daughter thinks, Mama, I can't go to school tomorrow. There's no more school. It's just really sad. I hope you listen to everything tonight and just know that I really think you're doing the wrong decision.
I don't agree with Columbia Elementary School news that is going to be shut down because my child that is 6 years old will have to get used to a new school, new friends, new teacher, and that is going to affect him emotional. And I have 2 more children who went to Columbia. He's gonna be 22, and another one who's gonna be 19, and another one, she's 13. She's in Orchard School, and they're asking me why they're closing that school. Why that's the best school? Why didn't choose another school? Why Columbia? They asked me so many questions that I don't have an answer for that. That's all. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Penny Talbot, and I'm speaking as a parent of Columbia. I have 3 children that actually attend the school. One is in 4th and 2nd and TK, and they both love that school. So Columbia is not just a school. Columbia is a family. And for you to take away the family, it's like you're ripping off a child whom you labored or whom you carried for 9 months, and you feel the pain, and all of a sudden you throw that child away. And that's what it looks like today. And another thing, I was reading RCW, and we didn't have any written summary containing analysis about this effect about the school closure, but it was already on Facebook. And the people are asking me, you go to Colombia, what, your school is closing? I have no idea. And what I thought is the school district and our schools, we are together. And if it comes us to be schools, districts, parents, and teachers. So whatever happens, every decision that happens must have to pass through us and the teachers. Unfortunately, you guys decide to do your own stuff. And I figured maybe you're all becoming like politicians because they can wake up in the middle of the night and decided to turn the country upside down. So let us not do that for the sake of our children. I don't know if you all have your children in Colombia, all the people that work for the school district, but I pray that you will have understanding beyond your knowledge of education, where you care more about the effect of the children, about the emotion, because you're already educated. What about them? They are damaging already. And we need the future for tomorrow. And now we damage because of the budget. Now you put the slide up there. You show that because we are low attendance, low count for Colombia, but there's a school that is SS. They have the lower number also. So why do you pick Colombia? I have no idea. And I'm not wishing for you also to pick the SS school either to close it. So let's keep our school going on. And also, anything that decision you make, let us be involved. We are the citizen and we are the parents. And you're here because our children are in school. If there's no children at school, we won't have a school district. Let's go beyond that. And also appreciate you and all the school district. I appreciate the Columbia school staff because when they got the message on Friday, they quickly send emergency meeting. And I appreciate all of you to do that because they care for us as much as we care for them. Let us not focus more on the budget, on the money. Let us focus on the academic of our children. We can be crowded in one school, yes, but is all the the teachers going to attend to those schools in order to raise up for the academic? So I'm about to close, I guess I got 11 minutes, that's okay. So my prayer and my request, please go back and review that. Keep the school. And if you need our support in any way you want us to do to keep that school going, we are ready to stand for our school, for our teachers, for our children, and for our school district. And we want you and us as parents and teachers to work together in this Wenatchee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can somebody help me, please? Thank you. Hello, good evening. My name is Mireya. Columbia Elementary is a good school, good teachers. It's very important to us to keep the school open for our students' education. My husband and I, we feel so privileged and fortunate to have my 4-year-old son on TK full day school, to see him every day morning, wake up very motivated to go to school and learn every day something new. When he's not able to go to school because he's sick, he cry because he don't like to miss school. School is very, very important to him. The other day, I saw him writing his name already. That means a lot for a mom. See him know his ABCs, colors, shapes,
and count almost 1 to 30. That means a lot for us. Not only that, every day when I pick him up from school, he has a smile on his face and said he has a wonderful day. And the teachers always make sure that all the students has a jacket, hat, and gloves. They make sure they are nice and warm for the cold weather. Plus, my son, he never lose anything from his school. He always come back to home with all his belongings, thanks to Mrs. Wright and all the teachers, wonderful teachers. And PE teachers, secretary, music teacher, Mrs. Esther. She's a wonderful, she has the nice attitude to work with the child. It's too sad that it will be 100th anniversary for a school and should be the happiness to celebrate. What a great school it is, Columbia Elementary. I also have my daughter graduated from Columbia Elementary last year, and she started since she was on kindergarten, and she loved all her teachers. Now she's in Orchard Middle School, but she's very sad to know about this bad news. She loved music. Currently, she plays violin. She's in a string class, but she started learning at Columbia with Mrs. Lachowski. She is a wonderful teacher. Now she is my son teacher, and last Christmas he did so well on the Christmas concert. Not only that, the principal, every time we have a concert about something, he always was there and have a time to listen to us and solve problems on a better way for all the students. He has a worry for all the wellness and education for Columbia Elementary student. When my daughter was in that school, is when I knew that Columbia Elementary was offering TK to our students. I did not think twice to take my child to Columbia Elementary. I was happy and not worried at all because I knew it was a good school for him, and I can go to work every day happy and know that my son is in a safe and great school. Um, Anything I can do as a parent to keep a school open, I will be there. And anything we can help, I'll be there to keep our school open. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
My name is Abigail Talbot. I am a fourth grade student at Columbia Elementary. I have been going to Columbia since kindergarten through fourth grade. I like being a student at Columbia, even though I have some things that I don't like. But that's always okay. I still like being at Columbia, even with things I really don't like. But I don't care about those things. All I care is that there is someone, the other students, and I can trust, and that we can still remain at Columbia until the end of elementary school. It's not fair that all the students in Columbia, like me, have to move to a new school. I don't want to start as the new kid. What if I don't make friends at the new school? I hope we can save the school. I want to know why our school is closing. My questions for you are, why did you choose to close a school, and why did you choose Columbia? If Columbia does close, are our new classrooms going to be overcrowded? How many students per class would they consider overcrowded?
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Serena Lepfer. I am a parent of two students at Columbia Elementary. I'm going to do my best to not get overly emotional. I didn't write anything because mostly I wanted to share what my children had to say. The first one I'll read to you is a short one by my third grade son. Please don't close the school because we have cool teachers. Love, Chevy Lepfer. This is very true. Every one of these teachers in this school, the staff from all areas, has been amazing for my children and my family. Last night I laid in bed
And all I can think about is how is this going to affect not only our students, but the staff, our neighborhood, and our community. If we were in a family courtroom right now and we were battling over these children and where they would go, what I would have to say is this decision is detrimental to these children. Their view on school, the school district, and the community will never be the same again. We have so many wonderful memories at this school, and I'd hate for this to be the end. Last year, we marched in the parade, the Apple Blossom Parade on Youth Day. My daughter was in the pom-pom team, and they were all so very proud in their purple and yellow. We also won a ribbon that year for greatest small group, which we are very proud of. I also want to share that my daughter both of my children are in the highly capable classes. They are excelling very well in school, and we're very proud of them. And I feel that the teachers' commitment to the education, their lovingness, their kindness, their understanding of situations has been outstanding. Thank you, guys. Lastly, I will read a letter from my 5th grade student, Ava Lupfer. Why we should keep Columbia Elementary open. I think lots of kids will be uncomfortable in a new school and won't have very much time to catch up on schoolwork, and they will be left behind. Lots of friendships will be broken, and they can really impact kids' learning and make it hard to focus when they aren't motivated because they can't see their best friend anymore. The 4-year-olds will have to take the bus. That is very scary for someone that young. Children or teachers will be going to their other schools, and some will just have to quit their passion for teaching. These past few days, I've seen several kids crying, and because of this, one of my best friends was extremely upset. By Ava Lupfer.
That's your time.
One of the
Wrap it up.
Okay, one of the things I know about life is that there are hardships. My life hasn't always been easy, but what it has taught me is when hardships come along, there is always a way around. There's always a fight. And I believe our Columbia family will fight. Go Columbia Cougars.
Can do this without knocking it over. Okay, members of the school board and Superintendent Kelleher, thank you for your time today. My name is Emily Bjork. My husband and I are parents of one Columbia student, Ryan, who's doing his reading homework as we speak. And we also have a second child slated to start at TK next year. Her name is Hazel. We're asking that you reconsider the decision to close Columbia Elementary, and we ask that you are receptive to feedback from the community. I understand that across the country, schools are facing increasing pressure to meet financial goals while also providing high-quality education. Unfortunately, when school closures do occur, they tend to affect significantly poorer neighborhoods with greater presence of non-white residents, which disproportionately affect disadvantaged and minority communities. Columbia school students have shown the highest percentage of growth for the 2022 and 2023 year in math and ELA, with percentages at 54.3 and 44.7 respectively. With such good statistics for improving in these areas, why are you not considering expanding the school boundary for Columbia to include more students from surrounding areas? If you look at the map that was shown earlier, Columbia has a significantly smaller region as compared to other elementary schools. It's like a third or a fourth compared to other regions. I know this wouldn't solve the budget deficit, but it may help to spread the cuts across all regions rather than singling out one school and one group of people. This would increase enrollment for Columbia as well as ease the burden of overcrowding for Washington Elementary and other surrounding schools who are maybe facing overcrowding.
To quote Noli Brazil, who is a community and development researcher for UC Davis, adequate community engagement, cost-benefit analysis, and long-term planning are all crucial to mitigating the negative consequences of public school closures. Please give our school a chance to continue providing great education and support for our community. By taking our school away, you not only hurt the students, families, and staff, but you also remove the only centrally located walking elementary for the city of Wenatchee. Columbia Elementary is not just a school, it is a community of learners. I also have my references if you want citations for any of this information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Camarino. Then Bridget Myers.
Hello, my name is Ana Sendejas, and my daughters attended Columbia Elementary last year. We had to move, but since we love Columbia, I wanted to choose them. Sorry. Choose them into Columbia. The district wouldn't let me and told me it was full. Now I find out that that wasn't true. We need more students. Why would you not let me choose them into Columbia? Why wouldn't, sorry, why would we wanted to keep going to Columbia because we love the school and we love the teachers. We feel safe here. My question is, why would you not let us choose in to Columbia? And why are you now taking the school away? My family is very upset and angry because of what's going on. I went to school there as a kid and never had an issue. All my brothers went to school at Columbia and we love the school. We could trust and we could learn. Why don't you choose any other school? Why Columbia? My kids attend Lee Elementary and I don't trust Lee Elementary. We just had an incident and never in 100 years would we have an incident at Columbia. Columbia protects her students and they trust us. They treat us like family and we feel welcome, not like any other school. They greet us with respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bridget Myers. I'm a parent of a student at Columbia, and I've also subbed or volunteered or had kids at every school in the district except for Orchard. I've already sent an email to you, and I'm happy to say that most of what was in the email has been addressed through some of the conversation around the budget tonight. I'm that annoying parent that reads everything, and I send the district suggestions to make corrections to typographical errors. I pointed out several times that the Skyward date still said the 19th last week. When I see that our district isn't upholding to the highest standards, I feel like I have a place to communicate. I feel like this was, a lot's been mentioned. You failed the big six, I feel, of making us feel like we belong and are connected. That's been discussed. in my house, my youngster, who's a fifth grader, came home and she was learning the Columbia Cougars song. And that night I heard that it was closing. You've heard some other parents talk about what that was. And I'm gonna talk about feelings. It feels to some of us that there is intentionality behind the announcement of closure and that you were not expecting pushback if it was communicated as a done deal. These are my feelings, but I feel like it needs to be expressed. Sadly, it feels this is perhaps specific to the demographic at Columbia. I hope that you find instead that our Columbia community, which is diverse, but mostly low socioeconomic backgrounds, is helped by Columbia and by you to find their voice. I know from the well-attended PTO meeting that we have people who are ready to volunteer to assist anyone to make comments. And now you've addressed that there will be open hearings. But I feel like you need to know that this came not from Columbia. This came from my friends at Sunny Slope and at Foothills. This would never happen at Sunny Slope. So right now, this is a bad experience. It hurts. And at the moment, I hope it turns into an example for the books. What are we teaching our Columbia Cougars? I hope we're teaching them that they have a voice. And I hope that you take your job very seriously right now. And I would like that you apologize to the community in the way that this was communicated. Thank you.
I'm going to try really hard to get through this without crying. So my apologies if I just can't hold it in. It's been a rough week. Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Geringer, and I'm a fifth grade teacher at Columbia Elementary. But my real claim to fame is that I'm a proud graduate of Columbia. And it was that start. It was that start surrounded by kind, caring, and excellent teachers that put me on the path I'm on today. This district and its teachers gave me a world-class education, and where they were there for me every time I needed it, and I needed it often. I'm here tonight to express my sincere concern regarding the perhaps final, perhaps not quite final decision from the district cabinet to close Columbia Elementary. We're talking about a closure. This isn't a consolidation of a school that has been serving Wenatchee for exactly 100 years this year. And if you follow through on this decision, it will have serious consequences for many more to come. I'd like to take the justification that was presented to our staff on Monday. Now, you guys got more information, which I'm very thankful for. I feel like that's part of the problem, is that we're working in a vacuum. And when that happens, it gets filled. So the first bullet point that was shared was that Columbia has experienced a large decline in enrollment over the last few years. My understanding is that declining birth rates and consequently school enrollment rates are a national phenomenon, not just one that impacts our school. And yet our school was targeted. Interestingly, we've had the steady arrival of new students over the course of this year, and I've been told that our student population fluctuates a lot over the course of the year based on the location of low-income housing and apartments that bring, but don't always retain, our students within its boundaries. It's the same thinking as the second bullet point, that there's a lack of projected growth opportunities. Are our boundaries insufficient to completely fill the school? Is that even our goal? If so, then maybe the better solution would be to redraw the boundaries to better utilize the facilities we do have, instead of relocating over 345 students. And I checked with our secretary, it's not 314 as was on the presentation. That's not the right number. So even the projections that you guys were looking at were incorrect. These students deserve better. And frankly, moving them to other schools is going to put their academic success at risk. Why would we want that? Our geographic location was another bullet point, right? It's targeted us for closure. To me, that seems short-sighted. I think our position in the Valley is one of extreme luck. Nearly all of our students can walk to school. Our parents don't need a car to come for a conference. We can be a part of our community. We can open our doors and people come. You guys should have seen the PTO meeting last night.
That's your time. Can I get you to wrap it up?
Oh, wow. Okay. Here's my point. By the district's own rationale, nearly any elementary school could be considered for closure. I've spent days wondering and asking why Columbia is the one scheduled to close. I have yet to hear a convincing argument. Have you? Maybe a better use of our energy and time as a district should be finding ways to be fiscally responsible and protect our most vulnerable students. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here with my daughter Jimena. She will be sharing a few words with you after all. First of all, I want to thank you for your time. My name is Anaisa Lemus Pulido. This is my husband Hernan. He came to join us, and my daughter Jimena. I come before you today as a parent and hope to be a voice for other parents who are being impacted by the closure of Columbia Elementary as well. The purpose for why I'm speaking today is that I would like for the school board to ensure that all options have been exhausted before deciding to close down Columbia, or any school for that matter. I know I share similar concerns with other parents who are unable to speak today. My daughter has been at Columbia for 3 years now. She started in TK. Columbia is our second home. The sense of family and belonging that we feel makes this place so special. Jimena comes home from school every day with a huge smile on her face, saying she's in the green zone. She wakes up excited to learn and see her friends. I think I speak for many when I say that this has been one of the hardest few days that we've faced as a family. Since learning about the school closure, she voices that she's felt in the blue zone because she's sad, and so are her friends. I'm fortunate enough to have some background in how to address strong emotions with children, but having conversations with a 6-year-old and helping them understand what's happening to their school is something no parent or educator should ever have to do. As you know, Columbia is a walking school. For drop-off and pickup, I often see students walk in all directions, knowing that their homes are close. Jimena loves to roll the window down and excitedly yell hi and bye to her friends and teachers as she passes by them. I've spoken to parents who don't have transportation and walk their child to school or walk to school events. I know this isn't unique to the Columbia family. I know there are many other families in our communities in this situation, but closing the school down would limit the opportunities for parents who are underserved or may not have the means to get to events such as conferences, music concerts, or enroll their student in before or after school programs. I hope you consider, if this decision is made, that we take a close look at how all these services can be equitable and accessible for all families. I understand that the decision of closing a school is difficult for all, but especially challenging for families. I have the lingering questions of, where's my daughter going to be placed? Will choice even be an option? Will I have to change daycares? Do I need to have another hard conversation with my smaller ones and see them cry as they adjust to new daycare providers? It's important to note the obvious, that by shutting down a school, we need to think about the potential domino effects it has on other schools, siblings, parents, daycare, and most importantly, our community. The impacts of this news has been really difficult, a lot harder than I could have imagined. Columbia is family. Columbia is home. My daughter wants to share a few words. I also signed her up. I think she was next. Jimena.
Everybody, my name is Jimena Lemus Polillo. and I love my school, and I don't want that my school closes because I had the best teacher, and I also love my friends, and I don't want that my friends be sad, and I also don't want to go to another school, and I don't want to leave Columbia School. And at lunch, we always talk, and Mr. Stewart always tell us to be level 100 at lunch.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Yvonne Ramos. I have 3 kids that attend Columbia. This is our first real school since COVID. My kids went into school in California that just kind of crashed, and we had a longer period through Zoom. Coming here, this is home. I was scared putting my kids in another school. After Zoom, we had nothing. We had no hope. My daughter, who's actually outside, couldn't read or write coming into 3rd grade at all. It was Sai that helped me push for it, to help me push for the assessment, to help me get it. It was Miss Kazemba that helped push for it too. It was Miss Oates. It was Miss Denimore. This became a family to us. I don't trust my kids with nobody else. My daughter's in 5th grade now, and she can read and write because of the school, because of them. My daughter also has social anxiety, where growing up, she had one friend. Sisters don't count, because she has plenty of those. You know, one friend coming into here, and yes, our school is small, but it's great. It's made a big impact on all of my children, especially my 5th grader. She now has more than friends she can count on, her fingers, everything. Her too. I have my kindergartner who just found out the other day. She said, "Mom, what's gonna happen to Mr. Wiggins?" I'm part of the PTO for one reason and one reason only, because I was in it for the long run. Because once my 5th grader goes out, I still have 2 more. And once my 4th grader goes out, guess what? I still have 2 more, because I have a 2-year-old that I had planned on being in Columbia also. This is home. My kids don't want it to go. I feel bullied. I feel like my kids are being bullied out of it. We're getting evicted. Come on. How do you think it feels? Have you guys ever been evicted out of a home? This is a home. This is nothing else but that. These are our family. I come here to Wenatchee with no family. 3 years later, I have a group of them. And we love them. You okay? Come here. Thank you.
One.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lucia Sanchez, and I'm a parent of a student that goes to Columbia. I'm going to try to make this quick because pretty much everything that I was going to say has already been said. But I just want to ask you guys to kind of go back and remember when you guys were these children and how it would have felt like if this was your school. If you really cared about your school, maybe you didn't, maybe you really hated your school. But if you did care about your school, and, you know, the teachers and the staff and everybody around you cared for your child, for you when you were a child, how would you feel? What would you do? your parents would probably be standing right here, or your teachers, or you, just like we are. So just please, yes, like everybody else is asking, check everything that you guys can. I've had parents from other schools, because I have other siblings like her, I have a lot of siblings, and they've tried to choice students into the schools that I've heard they're gonna try to send these kids to. And they were turned down because those schools were full. So if they're full now, are they gonna be extra full? Like, where are you gonna send these other kids, you know? If they're having 20 or 25 kids, are they gonna have 30, 32, 35 kids? Where does that leave the teacher? Like, you know, it's gonna look like they're failing, but actually it's not. Like everybody else was saying, you guys are the adults, you know, they don't, but you guys make the decisions. So please, we need your help to look at all the options and help our children. And yeah, think about yourselves if you can possibly do that. Look at yourself in the mirror and think about when you were a child and what that would have felt like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amy Jennings. I have a third, first, and TK student at Columbia. School board, thank you for what you do. My husband and I believe in public education. We are so grateful for the dedicated teachers and staff at Columbia. They know all of our 3 children by name. They help them learn and grow, give them individualized education that best meets the needs of their different learning styles, and they keep them safe day after day. We moved to Wenatchee 12 years ago, and this community quickly became our home. We bought a house in the center of town where we can walk to the park, the library, the public market, and the neighborhood school. We treasure the community around us, where our classmates are also our neighbors. I work in healthcare, and my husband works in college-level education. We understand the serious financial burdens that all industries are facing right now, and the difficult decisions that have to be made. However, what we do not understand is why there is no evidence provided to support this decision until tonight, why the district still has yet to inform parents, why this particular school is chosen over others that have lower enrollment and lower academic production, and why a school with a 70% non-white population is being targeted. If enrollment at the school is low, yet others are overcrowded, why has the district not tried rezoning to better balance enrollment across the district? Our taxes are paying for children to have local neighborhood schools where they can get there safely by walking or riding their bikes. Yet that's being taken away from hundreds of children. Columbia Elementary is not just a building or a workplace. We are a family, and we ask you to please consider alternative options rather than closing the school.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all being here. My name is Anna. I went to Columbia Elementary. I am 20 years old. I don't know how long that was, but I'm here to support Columbia. I just want to back up everybody who says that Columbia is a home, because it really is. Because of Columbia, I built up the courage. I learned how to play the violin. And to be honest, I sadly didn't get to finish Columbia Elementary because we had to move. And so I was a new kid. I transferred to Mission View. I got bullied. I was that kid who sat alone in a corner because I had no friends. My friends were at Columbia, and I was really upset. I was angry. I didn't want to go to school. And I told my parents, I don't want to go. Like, take me back to Columbia. Columbia is my home. Columbia. Miss Lopushinsky is the one that taught me how to play the violin. Miss Esther was always there for me when I was feeling down and sad. And guys, really think about the possibilities out there. Like, is really closing Columbia Elementary the best choice for the young kids. Me speaking as if I was a kid, I would not want to move. Like, I think I'm gonna get bullied. Nobody's gonna talk to me. I'm just gonna be sitting in a corner. Like, think about you guys when you guys were like, think if you guys were them, be in their shoes. Do you really see yourself being in a crowded more room? Like, I just cannot imagine that for these little kids. Like, I'm putting myself in their shoes. I've been in their spot where I had to move schools when my voice wasn't really heard. I'm just supporting Columbia. Columbia's like, I can't say much. It just hurts. I was shooken. I was like, there's no way that this ain't happening. And I told my sister, because she's a teacher there now, I was like, of course you chose the best school to teach because there's no other better school. Mission View, I mean, Mission View was great, but like you guys have heard, Columbia is like a one-on-one. A teacher's not a teacher. A teacher's like a parent. They always care for you. They're like the second parent instead of like a physical parent. It doesn't have to come from blood. Teachers are parents. And you don't want these kids to go to a stranger. They say stranger danger for a reason, right? That's what you're pushing these kids to. So please find other ways. If there's ways we can help, I'm a parent. If we can help our community's here to help. So give us options for the community to help and parents to help, and let us be heard. Not just us, but these little kids who are crying. Thank you. Thank you.
And David Lucas-Carroll.
I'm going to talk fast because I have a lot to say. Esteemed school board, I stand before you today as a teacher at Columbia Elementary. While I can recognize our district is in a financial crisis and drastic measures may need to be taken, closing Columbia Elementary is the wrong choice. If a school must be closed, Columbia should be your last choice, not your first. You see, a system, any system, such as a school district, is only as strong and as good as it protects its most vulnerable members. And we know that Columbia has the highest concentration of vulnerable students of any school in our district. Columbia has done an outstanding job educating our district's most vulnerable students, showing higher growth scores than any other school in our district or region with similar demographics. This is a clear example of taking care of our vulnerable. And yet it has been decided, without following the RCW, in my opinion, that it would be wise to close that school that performs the highest for our vulnerable students and send these students to a school that does not perform as well. Why? Why was Columbia the chosen school? Why are we protecting the educational experience of our more privileged students in our district at the cost of our vulnerable? Research tells us the average student loses 6 months of educational gains when they move schools. I think we can all agree that Columbia students as a whole do not fit the demographic of average. Being bused to a school across town with lower growth scores and without their established safety nets that often go back generations will be catastrophic to their education. And I have no doubt you will see the effects in the future graduation rates. On a personal level, I want to ask you to take a real look inside of yourself and ask yourself if you really want to support a decision that protects the privileged while sacrificing the vulnerable. When Chicago Public Schools closed many of their neighborhood schools, they found the effects on their vulnerable populations much more severe than on those who did not face being homeless, migrant, a language learner, a person of color, a person with special needs. And yet Wenatchee School District is following in their fateful footsteps and closing the very school that serves these vulnerable students the best. 54% of Wenatchee School District students are Latino, while the students most affected by this decision are 74% Latino. 35% of our WSD students qualify for free or reduced lunch, while the students being pushed out of their highly successful community school are 79% qualified free and reduced lunch. For a district with a history of working towards equality and inclusion, these numbers should be raising huge red flags, and yet they seem to be being ignored. I ask you to take a hard look at your motivation if you decide to support this decision. Is it because we have the most students who have no other educational options and will therefore not be able to choose something outside of Wenatchee School District? I would really like to believe that is not your motivation, but at this point, I need hard actions to prove otherwise. I truly believe that when it comes to the systematic oppression of our marginalized communities, you are either part of the solution or you are part of the problem. There is no middle ground. Which side will you stand with?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Lucatero, and we have a 12-year-old daughter that attended Columbia from kindergarten to 5th grade, and I always felt safe leaving our daughter to great teachers that care for all students and families. Our 4-year-old attends TK program and is always excited to go to school because of the great caring teachers Columbia have. My opinion is that closing Columbia is not the best option for all of our children, parents, teachers, and a great principal. Columbia for us is not only a building, but a second home for our children and teachers that love and care for our children. Closing Columbia after 100 years of dedicated education to our Wenatchee children is not the best option to solve one problem that will cause more problems to our children, parents, and teachers. I feel that together as parents, teachers, and with your support, we can save our school and come with an option that will benefit our children, parents, and teachers in our community. Thank you for your time and for listening.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tracy Thompson, and I'm an 8th grade science teacher at Foothills Middle School. I wanted to talk to you today about the middle school schedule changes that were presented to teachers on January 8th and the importance of science. We all know that difficult decisions need to be made because of the current budget issues. However, some changes will cause more significant lasting impacts than other possible changes and are not in the best interest of our students. Two of the current schedule options that the district is considering, schedules B1 and B2, would make science a semester class. If these changes were implemented, this would cut the time students spend in science at the middle school level from 3 full years to 1.5 years at FMS and PIO, and even reduces the amount of time in science at Orchard, which already has roughly 4,500 minutes less than the other middle schools. This change would hurt our students in many ways because science provides real-world opportunities for students to practice the skills they're learning in language arts and math. Science supports language arts through the close reading of complex nonfiction scientific texts, the constructing of written explanations and arguments using scientific evidence and reasoning to support a claim. Science supports math through the use of formulas and equations, graphing and interpreting data, understanding proportions and ratios, understanding linear and nonlinear equations. As one of my colleagues stated today, our science classrooms literally blend every content area, including most electives like art, health, PE, music, and tech into our curriculum. This binder contains all of the middle school standards and science observable objectives. So all of this is what's taught in middle school science currently. All of these tabs, these Post-it notes, represent everything that is covered in 8th grade science and tested on the 8th grade WACAS. If science classes, and this is in our district, these are our standards that we teach. If science classes are cut in half, decisions would need to be made about which of these standards we would choose to no longer teach our students. Our middle school science classes have a lasting impact on our students. Just last week, I received an email from a former student who came into my classroom unsure of themselves academically and telling me she hated science. She emailed me current pictures of the plants that we started as cuttings during our 8th grade biology unit. She wanted me to know that she was doing well in high school science and that her plants are doing awesome. Every year, middle school science teachers receive similar emails to this, thanking us for the opportunities we provide our students. If we cut middle school science in half, we will leave our students unprepared for the rigor and expectations of high school science courses and STEM-related careers. We know that student numbers provide funding for our middle schools, and other schools in the Valley continue to add STEM opportunities for our students. I'm almost finished, I promise. If we cut middle school science classes, our students who want to be scientists, doctors, lab technicians, engineers, biologists, foresters, and orchardists, or any of the many other STEM-related fields will choose to attend other schools, creating future enrollment issues. I believe that the best middle school schedule of those presented to all the middle school teachers is the one that supports students by giving them real-world experiences and preparing them for their futures, and cuts classes in the most equitable way possible. That schedule is option C2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kyle Diaz. I have two children who attend Columbia Elementary. Columbia plays a very important role in our district. One example of this is the transitional kindergarten. It is a free and huge benefit to kids like ours who need a little extra help, like speech or special education services. Two out of the three transition to kindergarten classes in our district are held at Columbia Elementary. The loss of these will have a negative impact on future students in our district for years to come. Another major concern for our family and many others is accessibility. A large percentage of the Columbia student body walks to school. For some, this may be a choice, but for many, it is the only means of getting their children to school. Those that will be negatively impacted most by this are the families most in need of flexible options, like those without cars and our parents who work odd hours. Longer bus routes in winter when our children are already being picked up in the dark is not a safer option for anyone. Transferring all of our kids to a farther school will take the right to choose from most families and additionally cause more strain on already struggling transportation systems. In my own research, I have found over a dozen studies in different areas of the country where school closures have taken place. The evidence provided strongly suggests that students who are displaced from the closing schools may see positive results, but only when placed in a higher performing school. Compared to other elementary schools in the district, Columbia is #1 when it comes to growth in both math and ELA. What are the benefits to students being absorbed into a school with lower report card scores than Columbia? Since I assume the district will not be adding any new classrooms to existing buildings, I am curious how much larger class sizes will be and how a higher student to teacher ratio will negatively impact students in the remaining schools. One of the district's own justifications for this closure was low enrollment. Since the proposed plan of closing the school will require redrawing of school boundaries anyway, why not change the boundaries to send more children to Columbia and raise the enrollment while reducing strain on nearby schools? Redrawing the boundary lines is more beneficial in the long run as the house market fluctuates and new families move within the boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I come before you as a employee of the Wenatchee Schools District. Also, I'm a mother of a Columbia Elementary alumni. Also, I'm a taxpayer and a homeowner. Columbia is right in the back, pretty much right behind my house. So my house is right there within the boundaries. Also, I am also a student who went to Peshastin and Dryden School who got consolidated with Leavenworth. And so I know the impact that it had on me as a child who had to go to another school that was closed. Let me give you a little bit of background. So when my daughter went there, she went all through Columbia, and it was a family. They treated us as a family. My son passed away during my daughter's stay there at Columbia. And the staff there was so kind. They gave us money, they gave us food, they supported us with services. My daughter was 10 years old when her brother died, which is totally devastating for a family. Also, as a student that had a school that closed and then had to go to another school, I was traumatically impacted. And it's still, I have social anxiety. I don't, it has affected me. And I do struggle with my social inadequacies because of it. I went from a school that we had 20 students in a classroom to much bigger class sizes, and I was bullied. I didn't belong. I didn't feel like it was the family atmosphere. I had such anxiety that I didn't go to lunch to the cafeteria, that I would go to the library and hide. I'd hide in the stalls in the bathroom so I didn't have to be around the large groups of people. And I do feel that our students will be impacted, and it will not be a good thing. 349 students will be impacted by this closure, 69 staff members, that's just full-time staff, will be impacted. And I just want you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kimberly. I'm 12 years old, and today I came to say my experience in Columbia Elementary. The experience from kindergarten to 5th grade was extremely awesome. All my teachers cared about my education and me. I never felt ignored by any teacher or felt disrespected. I had a really good music teacher that taught me how to play the violin. Her name was Miss Lopushinsky. Now, since she taught me the violin, I feel attached to my violin. I also had a very good PE teacher. Her name is Mrs. Flitton. I was always excited to go to her class and do whatever she had planned. I also had a good art teacher. His name was Mr. Farrow, that did magic tricks and made class fun. I had two library teachers, Miss Cohn and Miss Vanetta, and they were great and read us stories. My 5th grade teacher, Mr. Geringer, did something called the minute bank. Each time we were good, he would add a minute to the minute bank, and on Fridays we would do an activity. My 4th grade teacher, Miss Kazimba, read us Harry Potter books, which were amazing. And when I was stuck at math, she would helped me. I had another teacher, her name was Miss Agatha, and she used to help me with math when I was stuck. She helped me a lot. My third grade teacher and my second grade teacher, I get their names confused because they look alike. I think they look alike. But my third grade teacher did a prize wheel for our class, and which was really fun and always made sure we were working and on task. My second grade teacher, I was in Zoom class because it was time of COVID. Even though it was hard to learn on Zoom, I learned perfectly well with her. My first grade teacher made days before holidays really fun. My kindergarten teacher, Miss Holland, Miss Holland made every day fun. My principal, Mr. Stuber, was a really good principal and always wanted the best for us. My vice principal, Miss Clucky, was really nice. The office ladies were there and they were really nice, especially the one named Miss Esther. The recess teachers were so nice, especially the one named Miss Maddie. The ladies that made our lunch were really, really, really nice and gave us cookies on special occasions. Thank you for listening, and I really want my little brother and every kid to have a really good experience and for Columbia to stay open. Thank you.
No, I'm just gonna pick it up. Okay. Hi, my name is Zoe, and I'm a fifth grade student at Columbia. And before I went to Columbia, when I was in kinder and first, my life was pretty hard, and I wasn't the best student, and I acted out to get attention and got in trouble a lot. And then when I went to Columbia, the teachers there, they supported me like a family, and they turned my life upside down and made me learn how to be a leader. And I want a lot of the other kids to have that same experience that I did. And sorry.
Okay.
And I just, even though I'm going to a different school, it was already hard, and it's going to be even harder for me to see that school go down and not have any of the other kids get that experience. Okay, that's all.
Okay. This has been a long night. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, guys. And I really, really, really appreciated you listen to everyone, and I know how you feel because I can see in your eyes. I know all that they listen to everyone, and it is hard. It's just hard not to cry, listen to everyone, because everyone has a story here that is so great, that they just talking to you very, very loud to say, save this school. This is a good school. Everyone has an ideas of how to save it. Everyone wants to put, input for you to not to do it. And I think by now, you know that every people at this community is with them. And like I said, I know there's a decisions that you don't want to make. I know it is just so hard for you to make it. And I saw all the graphics that you put in there, and every person that was talking in here, it was with their heart, and they didn't want it to see the whole picture, but it's there. And my only my only hope in my heart is in it that we can come together to do something about this issue. I had two questions that I put in there, and that you guys already answered the questions. But my big question for you is going to be this, and for everyone to hear it: how can we help to do this school keep going? How can we come together and not to close the school? Because it's going to be harder to fix all the emotional things they're going through, not only the kids, but the whole community, the teachers, the parents, the grandparents, me. So please listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll read the first line. You can tell me when you're ready.
Hello, sorry. Hello, my name is Jackson James Field. I am a third grader at Columbia Elementary School. I am the son of a first grade teacher at Columbia, Miss Smith, and I have multiple reasons why I think Columbia should not close. The first being, all these poor kids that are new to the school and TKers won't be able to see their friends for even 2 years. Second, almost all teachers and students have made and lost so many friendships at the school. Third, hey, this is one of the best schools. It doesn't make sense to close this. And finally, all three of my older sisters have went to this school for about a quarter of their life, and all of us love Columbia Elementary School. Please do not close the school. All of my family does not want Columbia to close.
Good evening. I stand before you as a parent of two proud graduates of Columbia Elementary and as a community member and taxpayer. I wasn't planning on speaking today because I thought it might affect my professional relationship with the district. But then I was reminded of a quote, our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter. And Columbia Elementary School matters. I also thought, what lesson am I teaching my kids if I don't come and speak up? When I was looking at the district's website, I paid close attention to the strategic planning section and the values that were listed in that section. It said accountability, setting expectations and holding ourselves to the highest standards of integrity, learning fiscal responsibility and transparency. So let's just take a second and look what expectations that the district has set for itself. With the board vision statement, it said the board, with participation by the community, shall set the course for the school district. In a section of the website called Community Conversations, it said the board and the administration is committed to holding a community conversation to discuss the priorities of the district residents, school families, and students. It said it would use these conversations to inform future planning efforts, to deepen the relationship with and building a partnership with its residents, to have a dialogue around important educational issues in our community. I've seen the enrollment numbers. I reviewed the board, or excuse me, the budget discussions that were posted online. It said there'd been a large decline in enrollment since 2015. Yet in 2020 to 21 school year to the 2021-22 school year, the district increased staff by 90, even knowing that there was declining enrollment. It created a strategic plan that mentioned not once a school closure. However, what it did mention, it appointed a 12-person rebranding committee made up of various stakeholders that included students. I'll get to that in a second. So let's look at what expectations you have set for yourself, which included transparency. In 2023, in December, there was an FAQ for the budget that was put out. What it said is, it would be a substantial change for our community to close a school and one we would not like to consider. Yet, a month later, the district issued a press release. And words matter, not just the words you say, but the words you don't say. And the words that it did not say there would be a public meeting or a public hearing. It did not say the public can provide input. It did not say it was even going to create a committee to obtain input to the board about what to occur. Yet, when the district wanted to choose a logo, it had a 12-person committee over the span of months that talked about what W with wavy lines we were going to have. Months.
Your time's up. Can I get you to wrap it up?
Yes, you can, Miss Norton. So what does the word say in that press release? It said Columbia Elementary students and staff will be reassigned to other neighborhood schools. Doesn't say maybe, it said will be. And it only stated Columbia Elementary. It also stated it is the right decision to close Columbia. And it also stated, we have worked hard to avoid this decision. Well, have you? Have you really worked hard? You haven't even obtained input from the community until today. All I ask that this board do is put enough work in the decision that it put into its logo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jose Cuevas. I'm also a City of Wenatchee council member. I came to Columbia Elementary when it was the old building, and I was a student at the new building, what is now. And I also was a staff at Columbia. I'm glad to see former coworkers here. I'm not going to go long, but I'm going to go to the point. As a council member, I'm the voice of my constituents. I listen to them. If there's an issue happening within our city, in my community, we take care of it. I and we. I voted for you. You guys are the new board members of this year. And I respect you guys. Listen to the voice of the people in the community. That's it.
Thank you. It looks like that's everything for public comment. I just want to say thank you all very much for coming out. We really appreciate your sincere thoughts and comments, and we're certainly taking them very, very seriously. And these are not easy decisions to make, and we are evaluating everything we possibly can. So thank you. Next up, we still have a few things to take care of. It looks like we have resolutions on here that need to be approved. So you want to introduce those?
Yeah, so thank you, everyone, to echo what Ms. Norton said. We appreciate you and thank you for sharing your voice and staying so long. We have little ones. Thank you for staying up so late with us as well. So the two resolutions slated for action tonight, we have started the process to help our taxpayers put money back in their pockets. The district is capitalizing on a drop in interest rates for the 2014 bond, which expires in 2033 through a refinance. We have two resolutions on the table for action. This work has been supported by Trevor Carlson from Piper Sandler, Lee Marquisio from Foster Garvey, who both presented on January 9th. The goal of the work is to take the remaining balance of our 2004 bond and refinance it at a lower interest rate and save the taxpayer dollars some funds.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 0124? I move that we approve resolution number 0124, which grants the Wenatchee School District and authorizes the district to request a certificate of eligibility from the state treasurer pursuant chapter 39.98 and rules adopted they're under the state financial committee. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. No opposed. Moving on, resolution 0224. Do we have a motion for that one?
Hit my finger properly. I propose approval of motion 0224 relating to contracted indebtedness and refunding the existing bonds by the issue of new bonds as stated in the package for the board.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And no opposed? Next is the superintendent's report. Dr. Kalahar.
Excellent. I was echoed the statements earlier, just a heartfelt thank you for our community and staff who presented tonight to share about how the district's plan for reductions in budgets are impacting them. We appreciate the emotion in the room and each individual's experience that was shared tonight. I also want to give some kudos to a couple of departments. As we know, the weather a few weeks ago was pretty intense. So I want to give a shout out to the resiliency of our system and our community as well. And I have created some going the extra mile awards for our transportation and maintenance departments because of just the care that they gave. What I saw during this time was those two departments truly acting as a team to take care of them, one another and celebrate victories, both large and small. And literally from Thursday, January 11th to Friday, January 9th, these two departments were scrambling to ensure safe travel for our students and safe passage into our parking lots, walkways, and buildings. And on January 12th, when the freezing weather began, we literally had pipes bursting, creating indoor flooding concerns or freezing pipes solid from the inside out, making access to water impossible in some buildings, and just honoring that it's been a lot for all of us as a system, but those two departments have done a great deal of work to help us keep going. So that's been fantastic. We also tomorrow night, we had Alfonso here earlier, but we had tomorrow night, we have our first migrant multilingual parent night of 2024. So that's happening tomorrow night at Wenatchee High School. And the main topic for the event is career and technical education. WHS bowling team finished out their season with a 4-0 win over Davis to clinch a share of the Big Nine League Championship. Districts will be this Friday at Eastmont Lane starting at 11 o'clock. So some bowling happening. Also DECA at the Area 10 DECA competition in Yakima, 48 Wenatchee High School students competed with 330 students from our region. Wenatchee won many awards and secured first, second, and third positions as individuals or teams. And these victorious students have qualified to attend the State Career Development Conference in Bellevue, which is scheduled to take place at the end of February. So congratulations to those students and best of luck in their upcoming competition. We also had New York Times bestselling author and former Mission View Elementary School librarian Dan Gamenhart, who had a special homecoming visit at Mission View earlier this week to inspire young readers. He spent a whole day working with and encouraging students. Dan was also at Sunny Slope earlier this fall, I was able to attend that, so that was great. So a special thanks to the PTOs to help the funds for Dan's visit. And then finally, Wenatchee Jazz Workshop in February. It's only 1 month away, and the workshop offers small group jazz instruction and gives high school students and middle school students the chance to learn from and share the stage with world-class musicians. Tickets are available now for purchase for performances on February 8th and 9th, and both concerts will be held at Wenatchee High School. Ticket proceeds going to help further other jazz workshops. And that is my report.
Thank you. Do we have any board communication? Start with.
I'll start. I'm talking to empty chairs, but maybe to the TV. I do want to thank everybody who came and spoke tonight, especially about Columbia, but also about the middle school schedule, and appreciate the heartfelt and sincere input. And let's listen. Thanks.
I'll echo that. I think we could all say that there was clearly a lot of passion put into the responses. And I think I also like to appreciate that everyone kept a pretty even demeanor, and there was a lot of people and a lot of time devoted to that. And thank you for coming out and being respectful. And also to the maintenance and operations staff for getting the schools open, because I know that was an ordeal over the long weekend.
Miranda?
Like what Martin had mentioned, it's a lot of empty chairs, but maybe hopefully some still online, is that I really want to thank everybody that is here, that came here in person, online. I thank the students that have came here. It takes a lot of courage and determination to come up and speak with a big group of folks that you may not know in front of the board and the superintendent that you may have never met in person. You may never meet them again. And vocalizing your concerns and what means most to you. I will be, for just me being transparent, I have read every email that's came through. I'm listening. I've heard your concerns over the course of the weekend. Like what Julie had mentioned earlier, this is very new. We will do our due diligence. We will abide by the RCW and making sure that we providing that transparency for you all, because we are representing you. We are representing our students. This isn't easy for anybody here to witness it, to go through all of this. A lot of emotions are here, and it's clearly, and I can clearly see that. And so just reminding you all to thank you for being here. It truly does mean a lot from myself and on behalf of the board.
I will not repeat what my colleagues have said, but I do, I want to let the public know that if you've sent an email, your email has been received and read, responses, so I'm probably going to trickle in. In regards to what I said earlier about transparency, and keeping everyone informed, it's not just about the consolidation of schools, but also with the middle school and high school schedules as we move forward. I want to thank Fidelina and Mr. Lopez for being here tonight and providing, the services that are always available. So it's actually really exciting to see our community, show up and take advantage of the diversity of our community and, utilizing this platform to let their voices be heard.
So I just have a quick little update. First, thank you, Mr. Lopez, for standing there in the corner translating all night. We really sincerely appreciate it. I'm sure your legs are tired, but thank you. It was important, I think, for you to do that and to be here, and I appreciate that. Just real briefly, Corey wasn't able to attend because of the developments that occurred with the announcement for Columbia on Friday, but I was able to go to a Chelan County leadership meeting hosted by the Port of Chelan County on Friday afternoon. It looks like they're trying to make it a bi-monthly meeting with folks from the county, city, school district, fire district, fire district, chamber of commerce, just talking about kind of ways we can support each other as the larger government entities. I did get a good takeaway that hopefully someday may help our enrollment and financial situation, in that, the county and the port are really pro getting us in front of Microsoft and finding out what the Malaga district, what that might look like when they bring in the industrial development out in that area, and how it may impact the community. And they have models from other areas that has brought a lot of growth, and especially the affordable housing and the working class housing that seems to be what impacts our district the most. So I was very excited about those connections in that meeting, and I'm hopeful that as we may develop some partnerships or get some more information that can help us through these financial situations. But it was interesting meeting. Looking forward to the next one. So that's all I have. Anything else for the good of the order? With that, then I will declare meeting adjourned.